17th, 2025. This is the 12th meeting of 2025 and the 40th regular meeting of the current term of the Metropolitan Council of Nashville and Davidson County. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation is being offered this evening by the Honorable Harold Love, Jr. Representative Love serves Tennessee House District 58, and he is a pastor of Lee AME Church in Nashville. Pastor Love is the guest of District 35 Council member Jason Spain. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you so very much. Glad to be here. Glad to be in a body that deliberates bills. Amen. Somebody. let us pray. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. We give you thanks, Lord, this day and all the potential that it possesses. We come thanking you for this process that we will see unfold in this Metro Council. A process that allows public comment and allows debate about issues that affect our communities. We pray that those who have the power of the individual votes will remember those who elected them to come and vote. Remind them, oh God, that even in the midst of confusion and stress, they should not be weary in their well-doing. Empower them. We thank you for them. Is our prayer in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. Thank you, Representative Love. All right, welcome council and community members to what is our most consequential meeting of the year, when the operational budget and tax levy ordinances are on third and final reading. Metro government will observe the Juneteenth holiday this Thursday, and we wish everyone a happy celebration. Pride Month continues, and I hope everyone will make plans to join me and the LGBTQ caucus of the Metro Council at Nashville's Pride Parade on June 28th. Pride is a celebration of our LGBTQ community. Their visibility and our support is especially important right now, especially for trans members of our community. Pride is also a protest, so I want to also acknowledge all the Nashvillians who protested peacefully on and around the Bicentennial Mall this past Saturday for the No Kings convening. Thank you to our local law enforcement for their support of Nashvillians' First Amendment rights. Saturday was Flag Day, and it was my pleasure to accept the invitation from the ladies of our local Daughters of the American Revolution chapter for their Flag Day celebration at our State Library and Archives, which is also on Bicentennial Mall. So I was very poignantly reminded with the physical convergence of those two Saturday events that protest is patriotic. We are a country of laws, our Constitution first among them. As elected officials and public servants, we all took an oath to uphold the Constitution. We did not make an oath to any one person, and our nation's system of checks and balances is presently under immense strain. Political violence is escalating, and on Saturday, tragically, elected officials were assassinated in Minnesota. Our oath as elected officials says, in part, that we will faithfully, impartially, and with fidelity discharge our duties without fear or favor and for the public welfare. That fear piece of the oath has been tested lately, and I want to thank you all for continuing to speak up and show up in so many spaces in our immigrant community, for our LGBTQ community, and for minority communities. We are stronger together. Members of this nonpartisan body represent a diversity of professional backgrounds and political perspectives, and we often see that through our budget discussions. We often disagree with each other on policy, but as I often say, nonpartisan municipal governance is the bedrock of democracy. It is where the people are closest to their government, And we can help build trust by speaking hard truths, being accountable, and by not being silent bystanders when officials at other levels of government lie and try to induce chaos and turn Nashvillians and Americans against each other. How we comport ourselves and treat each other and our constituents always matters. In happier news, today is Council Office Staff Team Member Matthew Wilkinson's birthday. So happy birthday to Matt. And lastly, some happy sad news. Tonight will be Hannah Zeitlin's last evening with us here in the council chamber in her capacity as Senior Assistant Legal Counsel to the council. She is not going too far away from us as she will be moving to the Metro legal team after June 27th. Council members will receive details for a farewell gathering for Hannah shortly. Ms. Zeitlin has been with the council office for almost a decade. My own service as a district council member and now vice mayor has tracked along with hers, and I do not remember a council office without Hannah, whom I first met when she was a law student intern sitting in on early conversations about my legislation elevating and expanding tree requirements for commercial and multifamily properties. She has capably and thoughtfully supported so many members' policy work over the years, and I know she will be missed. Hannah, would you please stand? And council members, please join me in thanking Hannah for all her good work and congratulating her on this next step in her career. All right. Without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of the meeting of June 10th, 2025? Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Okay. Without objection, and seeing no one seeking to be recognized for a change to the minutes of the meeting of June 10th are approved. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Okay. All right. So next, this portion of Section E in our agenda, appointees and nominees. This portion of the agenda shares all persons that were scheduled to appear before the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee this evening. Referrals back to committee will be by rule as part of the council's two-meeting process for elections and confirmations. No votes will be taken in this section of the agenda other than for deferrals. Chair Prep T, committee report, please. First for any withdrawals or deferrals. And let's see, if you could, sir, just with the name of the board or commission one time and the persons who were interviewed today and will be referred back for confirmation consideration on July 1st. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. First and foremost, allow me to associate myself with the comments that you just made before, and best of luck to Hannah. With regard to the committee's action, there were no withdrawals and no deferrals.
Great.
With regards to the Human Relations Commission reappointment of Dakota Gallman, the appointment of Sarah Martin, the appointment of Dr. Carmen Reese Foster, the appointment of Claudia Weber, as well as the appointment of Alicia Nguyen, and the Social Services Commission appointment of Dr. D'Angelo Taylor. The committee voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and with that, I move approval.
Okay, we don't actually have to move approval on that one, sir. It's just by rule re-referred back. So thank you for sharing those folks that you interviewed today. Next, Section F of our agenda, confirmations. You are recognized again for your committee report on the 2 appointees in the second step of your committee's 2-meeting process and a consolidated motion. First for any deferrals, if there are any, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. There were no withdrawals and no deferrals.
Okay, let's see. Can you go ahead, sir, and share your report on Mr. Mosley and Ms. Allen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. With regards to the Historic Zoning Commission reappointment of Ben Mosley, the committee discussed and considered this particular appointment. In our committee discussion, we discussed the importance of equity within historic zoning across all communities, and pointing out that historically, Black and Brown communities have not been given the same access to resources and consideration for historic zoning. And with that, the Historic Zoning Commission reappointment of Ben Mosley received a vote of 6 in favor, 1 against, 1 not voting. With regards to the Social Service Commission appointment of Chandra Allen, the committee voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And with that, I move approval.
Okay, there is a motion to confirm these 2 appointees in a consolidated vote, properly seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Yes.
There's a point of order, Madam Vice Mayor.
Oh, Special Counsel Darby. I apologize. Hang on just a second. Go ahead, ma'am.
I believe we had 2 no votes on one of the confirmations, and that would need to go to an individual vote and be on the board.
Okay, all righty. Was that on F1, Ms. Darby? Okay. All right. So Chair Prep T, it looks like we anticipate or will have some no votes, so we cannot do a consolidated motion.
Yes.
And so if you would please, do we need to rescind that action, or can we just go back and? Okay, we had not completed the vote according to special counsel, so Chair Prep T, if you would make a motion, please, first for the Historic Zoning Commission reappointment of Ben Mosley, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I withdraw my previous motion and move approval of the Historic Zoning Commission reappointment of Ben Mosley.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, that's properly moved and seconded. Ms. Darby, this needs to be on the boards. Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote. Okay, all votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the motion to approve or confirm, rather, the reappointment of Ben Mosley to the Historic Zoning Commission passes with 36 votes in favor, 3 votes against, and 1 abstention. Is Mr. Mosley with us this evening? Okay, well, we were going to thank him when we get to the end of this other one. So next, agenda item F2 regarding the Social Services Commission. Go ahead, Chair Prep T.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. With regard to the Social Services Commission appointment of Chandra Allen, I move approval.
Okay, there's a motion properly seconded. Seeing no body in the queue, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, all right. Council has confirmed the appointment of Chandra Allen to the Social Services Commission. So 2 are confirmed appointees. If you chose to return to the council chamber this evening, which is not required, do please stand. Is Ms. Allen with us? Okay, she is not. So council has confirmed these folks, and we want to congratulate them as any evening, whether they are here in person or watching at home. I presume they're watching at home. We appreciate your willingness to serve our city. Thank you so much to them. Okay, all right. Now we are moving into section G of our agenda. This is the public comment period. All right. Members of the public who are Tennessee residents wishing to speak may sign up at the table outside the council chamber from 5 to 6 p.m. on the day of a council meeting. Public comment is limited to 20 minutes total at council meetings, and each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. Okay? Persons speaking on agenda items must be prioritized to comply with state law. We have quite a long list of folks who have signed up, and we do have a waiting list as well. I will endeavor to kind of aggregate the time. That way, if some folks are speaking less than their 2 minutes, we may be able to dip into that wait list. And so in the interest of time, I will call the name of the next person or first person and the person subsequent to that. And if you would, please just kind of queue up 1 and 2 and 3 and so forth. So first to speak for public comment is Paula Pendergrass. She is speaking on the operational budget, specifically Chair Porterfield's substitute budget and support. Following Paula Pendergrass will be Jessica Stewart. So Jessica Stewart, if you could please go ahead and come on forward, as well Frida Player, Chair Player, if you would go ahead and get ready to speak. Go ahead, Ms. Pendergrass, you are recognized.
Good evening, Madam Chair, council members. I am Dr. Paula Pendergrass, the president of the Metropolitan Nashville Education Association, better known as MNEA. I rise today in strong support of Councilmember Delicia Porterfield's substitute budget because our students deserve better than more cuts. The proposed budget that strips away $54.4 million from Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools is not just numbers on a page. It's lost educators, crowded classrooms, and fewer resources for the children who need them most. MNPS is already stretched thin. Cutting funding now would undermine our ability to retain quality educators, provide vital support services, maintain safe, engaging learning environments for our students and our educators. Our schools are the foundation of this city's future. And if we're serious about equity, opportunity, and long-term prosperity, then we must fully fund public education. Councilmember Porterfield's budget recognizes this truth. It invests in our students, respects our educators, and reflects our community's values. This isn't just about dollars. It's about priorities. Let's choose a future where every child has what they need to thrive. Please support Councilmember Porterfield's substitute budget. Our students and educators are worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jessica Stewart.
Good evening. My name's Jessica Stewart. I live in Rayon City in Old Hickory, and I'm here as a representative for Metro General Government, MNPS, and General Hospital employees in my capacity as president of SEIU Local 205. First, I would like to thank Budget Chair Porterfield and the Budget Committee for their hard work in crafting a substitute budget that fulfills the promises made to employees. I know it wasn't easy, and on behalf of the employees, I want to let you know how much it means to us to feel heard and appreciated. To the rest of the council, I respectfully request 2 things. 1, that you vote yes on the Budget Committee's substitute budget. And 2, that you reject any amendments that would cut funding from MNPS. Any such cuts would put jobs and programs in jeopardy, including support staff COLA and the programs that provide much needed additional support for students across the county. These support programs also provide summer jobs for support staff, many of them 10-month employees who depend on these jobs to make their ends meet in those 2 months where they receive no paycheck. Again, thank you for your consideration and for delivering a substitute budget that looks out for Metro and MNPS employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Player, you're recognized.
Thank you. My name is Frida Player. I'm chair of the MNPS School Board. I represent District 7 and live in Jenny Welch's, Councilwoman Jenny Welch's district, sorry. The MNPS School Board passed our fiscal 26 school budget a week ago today. This year and last year, budget cycles, MNPS did not ask or advocate for any additional funds from this body, and we have passed a budget within the allocation of the mayor and Chair Porterfield's allocation in their budget and substitute budget. Unlike any other budget, 70% of our budget goes to employees. Speaking of employees, Metro Schools has over 11,000 employees. Metro General Government has 8,000 employees. Yet, we are 37% of the budget. This means we have worked within our means. The state has increased our fiscal capacity by $10 million, which means that they cut our state allocation by $10 million. And yet, we did not come to this body to make up for that $10 million deficit we received. And so we've been working within our means. We have done great things within the allocation that we have. So I stand here in support of Chair Porterfield's budget and ask you to vote for a substitute. Metro Schools is making record exponential gains with the budget and financing that we have. And because of Chair Porterfield's budget, we will continue within that success and that exponential growth. So I ask you to support our kids and support our students along with President Pendergrass and President Stewart to make sure our employees, but more importantly, our students, have the funds they need, continued success, so they could be the best employees in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Player. Next will be Millie Peterson, and following Millie will be Kristen Sterling. If you would both go ahead and come forward. After Kristen will be Board Member Zach Young. Millie, go ahead. You're recognized.
Hello, my name is Millie Peterson, and I'm here to speak in support of Chair Porterfield's proposed budget, specifically just to support public schools. This is the first council meeting that I have spoken at, not as a part of the Youth Day in Government, which thank you so much to Zulfatswara for organizing that. That is wonderful. So forgive me if this isn't the most orthodox presentation. So I'm a recent high school graduate of the MNPS system, and I feel incredibly well prepared going into college. I've come into my college with 45 hours of college credit hours, which is a combination of my AP classes and dual enrollment classes that were offered through the MNPS system. My mom works as an elementary school teacher at Haywood Elementary. And when I told her about the possible budget cut, she asked me where that money would ever come from. She's had a broken AC unit and heating unit in her classroom for 2 years now. I have gone to a school where the bathroom stalls, the doors did not close, and we didn't have enough janitors to keep our school clean. We don't have enough people in our schools to keep them clean and safe for everyone to work in. And I understand that money is always going to be needed somewhere else. But education should not be sacrificed in that process. Better education is consistently linked to lower poverty rates. Not only will this help the constituents that you serve, but it will make the world a smarter place, something that I am a huge fan of. MNPS does a lot of good, even with how tight their budget already is. To revoke more of that would only hurt the most vulnerable populations of Nashville. I work at the, oh wait, hold on. There's like no time left, so I'm just gonna pause it there. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kristen Sterling, also speaking on the operational budget, Chair Porterfield substitute. And following that, again, School Board Member Young. Go ahead, you're recognized.
Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you for having me. What a joyous council and crowd this is. It's quite refreshing to be in your presence. I'm Kristen Sterling from District 23. I'm here representing the Middle Tennessee Moms Demand Action chapter. We're a gun safety and gun violence prevention organization, and we're here in support of Amendment 2 of Chairwoman Porterfield's substitute budget that would fund a gun dispossession investigator. As a nurse practitioner and a Moms Demand Action volunteer, I understand how policy and funding can save lives. Funding a gun dispossession investigator will allow victims and their children to live free from gun violence and will no doubt save lives. Please vote in favor of the Amendment 2 and the substitute budget, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Member Young, you're recognized. Welcome back.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I'll apologize. I'm going to recycle some comments I made yesterday because I thought they were worth repeating. My name is Zach Young. I live at 93 French Street, and I have the honor of serving on the Metro Nashville Public School Board. And I want to thank Chair Porterfield for the very long hours and hard work that went into assembling the substitute budget. I know all too well how difficult these decisions can be during your budget process. And I also understand the position some of you are in when it comes to voting on a budget that asks more of our residents. As many of you know, I once sat in your seat as a council member wrestling with the same question a few years ago, whether to support a funding plan that I knew would possibly be unpopular in the city and my district. But as is often the case, the right thing to do was also the hardest. I ultimately voted for the increase in revenue because it prevented mass layoffs and preserved the services our residents depended on. That vote came at a political cost, but I have never regretted it. If you choose not to support Chair Porterfield's budget, you are choosing to eliminate and cut programs and services that are greatly helping students at MNPS right now, like we just heard. At a time when we are finally seeing meaningful progress on student outcomes, we simply cannot afford to scale back. We need more teachers, not fewer. We need to preserve high-dosage tutoring and summer programs because they are working, y'all. They're working. We are moving in the right direction, and now is not the time for us to retreat. Chair Porterfield, thank you again for your leadership, and I urge every member of this council to please support the chair's substitute budget. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Member Young. Next, we have Travis Walker. Travis is speaking on agenda item 57. This is a zoning ordinance on third reading. Following Mr. Walker will be Erica Perry and then Misty Cox. Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Hi, I'm Travis Walker, I'm the Vice President of the Steel Mill and MU TV. And if I may, also the owner of the Steel Mill, Scott, here behind me, would like to take a moment to convey some gratitude, kind of the theme tonight. We have seen that the amendment to Bill 809, the Mural Road project for over 1,000 homes off Dickerson Road is being submitted that will create a 100-foot additional buffer for sound between our rehearsal facility and the closest proposed residence. I wanted to thank Council and Councilmember Toombs of District 2 for working toward mitigating future concerns and protecting our existing business. We're hopeful that this buffer will be part of the solution to do so. As we have said every step of the way, we are for this development and realize that this is a good thing for our district and for Nashville. We look forward to continuing to work with Metro to find solutions as problems may arise out of this in the future, and we appreciate the thought and effort that has gone into this amendment. Likewise, the concern for our longstanding business. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Erica Perry. And following Erica Perry, Misty Cox. If Misty Cox will go ahead and come forward, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Erica Perry. I live in District 12. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern Movement Committee. I'm a community organizer and I'm a lawyer. And I stand here in support of Chair Porterfield's substitute budget. And I'm excited to talk a bit about the work. Since last June, our youth assembly members, their families and communities have worked to build out the Office of Youth Safety and also implement the programming at Napier Community Center. We are really excited to also know that funding for that work has been renewed in Chair Porterfield's budget. And I also mentioned the work that we've done with Chair Porterfield because her budget this year shows her commitment to our people in our communities. We've been talking to community members, young people, their families who go to Metro schools, who also name that not only is safety, community center programming and a restorative justice in schools and in their communities, it's also fully funded education. And so I stand here in support of that budget and ask you to support a budget that funds education, support a budget that funds community-based forms of safety that have been developed by our young people to prioritize our young people, because safe communities are communities where young people have what they need and their families are well taken care of. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Misty Cox, are you present? Okay, go ahead and come forward. Speaking on ordinance 834, go ahead, you're recognized.
I'm new to all this, so how do I present you out of respect?
You can just call me Vice Mayor, that's fine.
Vice Mayor, My name is Misty Cox. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, Jim Schulman, for inviting me, but I forgot to come, but I'm here now.
Okie dokes.
I am in general concern, and what I need to say is the people that belong on this floor, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. The people that have already spoke out here, thank you so very much for nestling it together, because I want to emulate a few of you, but a little bit of a reverse, please and thank you. I have the answers. I tried to tell Cooper in 21, and yes, ma'am, I don't know your protocol, so I'm trying to be calm, but I'm very passionate.
That's fine.
Jim Schulman knows my story. I want to talk to you, please and thank you. I have the answers. They paid somebody else for the budget. I could have given you everything for free. I work for free. I've been here since 21. I want the problem fixed so I can get my husband back, my heritage back, and these people can go home and enjoy their families. Thank you. God bless you. Peace be with you. And I pray that everyone, starting tomorrow, does their job that they're being paid for. And if their shoes are too big, put them in the closet until you can fit them in.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Next, we have, apologize, I'm using my calculator here, folks, to add up our extra seconds here for purposes of public hearing. So we do have, it appears that we have 268 extra minutes. Seconds. Y'all, come on. Divided by 60, meaning that we have a little over 4 additional minutes for public comment. So we will kind of be dipping into our wait list here. Next is Dr. Berthina Nabah McKinney, school board member. You're recognized. And then we will also have time for Jason Weekly. Jason, if you're present, if you would please come forward. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Nabah McKinney. Go ahead.
Good evening, council members and vice mayor. My name is Dr. Berthina Nabah McKinney, and I serve as the vice chair of the Metro Nashville School Board and the chair of the Budget Committee. I also represent District 4, which are the Donaldson, Hermitage, and Old Hickory communities, and Councilmember Huffman is my representative. I am here today in support of the Budget Chair Porterfield substitute budget. I want to thank Mayor O'Connell, Chair Porterfield, and actually all of you for your continuous support and prioritization of funding for Metro Nashville Public Schools. MNPS continues to demonstrate major progress in academic achievement, student growth, graduation rates, and other key indicators of success. In order to continue this level of historic progress and success, any reduction in funding would have a serious and harmful impact on our students, families, and phenomenal educators and staff who support them. Make no mistake, any proposed cuts to MNPS's budget would result in reduced staff and services that students and families have come to rely on and would lead to the loss of positions critical to student learning and success. Thanks to the support of recent mayors and Metro Council majorities, Nashville has seen meaningful gains in student achievement, growth, and graduation. We urge the council to maintain this trajectory by continuing to invest in our schools, our students, the educators and staff who make the success possible through Chair Porterfield's substitute budget, which protects our public schools. Thank you.
Okay. So next we have Jason Weekly. Actually, Dr. Berthina was number 10, so our additional 4 minutes happened subsequent to that. And so number 12 is director of the NAZA program. Anna, if you are here, you will be recognized. Go ahead, Mr. Weekly.
So I'm the chairman of the Davidson County Republican Party. I've heard a lot of comments about the reduction of spending, and I just want to recognize that we are talking about an increase in taxes. So I'm not talking about cutting the budget. I'm talking about saving our current spending levels. The Davidson County Republican Party's Executive Committee strongly urges Metro Council members to vote against Mayor O'Connell's proposed budget and Councilmember Delisha Porterfield's substitute budget, which would increase property taxes between 26% to 39% for some areas of town. The GOP Nashville Executive Committee calls on all council members to deliver a resolute no vote rejecting these fiscally irresponsible proposals. Metro Council members must consider the burden that their constituents will face if this property tax increase passes. Relentless property tax hikes, one of the most regressive forms of taxation, makes Nashville unaffordable, and families, seniors, and homeowners and renters are being pushed out of town to neighboring counties. Council members, your vote today will resonate with your constituents. GOP Nashville calls on every Metro Council member who values fiscal responsibility, transparency in spending, and Nashville's prosperity for the future to vote no tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, you're recognized. We additionally will have time for Lainey Carnes. So if Lainey Carnes would go ahead and come forward as well. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Anna Haratunyan. I'm the director of NAZA as part of Metro government, and I'm here to support the substitute budget by Chair Porterfield, specifically for investments in young people through the school and after school time. As someone who's been leading youth development for 9 years in the city and 20 years outside of the city, I cannot put more emphasis on how important it is to continue offering the programs in out of school time, because that's the way to keep these young people safe, away from trouble, help them build the skills that they need to thrive, not survive, but thrive in career, in life, in education. So this money, the funds that both mayor and chair allocated for NAZA are going to support additional camps for young people who live in public housing communities, as well as will help us continue the pilot programs that we started for justice-involved youth, particularly a program, youth development program inside the detention center, which helps them to reconnect with their communities, with schools as they get released, as well as programs in alternative learning centers, both Johnson and Best ALCs, which have been proven to work really well for those young people. So I do appreciate the continued support, and I do ask for a vote and support for the chair's budget. And thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, Lainey Carnes, you will be our last speaker this evening for public comment. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Lainey Carnes. I'm a resident of District 27, a teacher at Hillsborough High School, and a proud member of the MNEA. I'm here tonight on behalf of educators across Nashville to urge you to support Chair Porterfield's substitute budget that maintains the full proposed increase in school funding. Our union communicates with Metro educators across the city daily, and what we hear from them is clear. Teaching in overcrowded classrooms and aging buildings, handing out school supplies that they purchase with their own salaries that still leave far too many of them living paycheck to paycheck. It's no time to go looking for places for MNPS to cut. To be clear, we do share the frustrations expressed by some members of the council regarding the lack of transparency in MNPS's budget. Schools make up a good portion of the school's budget, of the city's budget. And you have been asked to improve that investment without a clear line item budget expected from every other department. As educators, we agree that this is unacceptable, and we're committing to advocating for more transparency from MNPS in the future. But tonight the question is, if this amendment were to pass, what could our schools afford to cut? School lunches, mental health support, transportation to school, books for our libraries. Our MNPS families rely on all of these things as they continue to produce real and tangible results for our education, outcomes, and making our city and our schools stronger. We would like to thank council members who are planning to vote in favor of Chair Porterfield's substitute budget. This budget takes a concrete step towards providing educators the resources that we need to teach effectively, the pay we need to stay in the jobs that we love, in a city that's become far too unaffordable for most of us. We encourage all members of council to vote for it. Thank you for supporting our schools, and thank you for your time, and go Burrows.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. And next, we move into section H of our agenda, which is resolutions on public hearing. Spanish interpretation services are provided for all Metro Council public hearings. Council Office team member Karina Valdez is here as the interpreter. Ms. Valdez, will you please share how you can help?
Los servicios de interpretación en español estarán disponibles en la audiencia pública.
Gracias. We appreciate you. For those wishing to speak this evening as part of our two public hearings, our resolutions that are on public hearing, please do state your name, but it is not required for you to provide your exact address if you do not wish to do so. You may want to tell us in what neighborhood or area you live, what your connection to this agenda item is, or who your council member is. All right. So first is agenda item 1. That's RS Resolution 2025-1294, sponsor Styles. This is a resolution exempting Emiliano's Steakhouse located at 5356 Hickory Hollow Parkway from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit. Councilmember Styles, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I'd like to...
Committee report first, please, if you will. Yeah. Chair Hill, you're recognized for the report of the Government Operations and Regulations Committee.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We voted for approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you, and it's back to you, Ms. Stiles.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I'd like to declare the public hearing open or whatever.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this item please raise your hand? Would all members of the public here in opposition to this item please raise your hand? Okay, Ms. Stiles, seeing no one here seeking to be recognized either in support or opposition, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval, please.
Is there a second? It's properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, Ms. Suara, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. In looking at the analysis for this resolution, it did state that this is near a preschool. I just wanted to ask the sponsor how close is this to a preschool, and are this preschool aware that the establishment is coming in there?
Okay, there's a question, Ms. Stiles, regarding its proximity to a preschool, I believe. Go ahead, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is in a large shopping center. The preschool and the restaurant on completely opposite ends. This space was previously a restaurant, and there were no issues at the time, so I am okay with its location.
Okay, does that resolve your question? Okay. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted this resolution. Next is Agenda Item 2, Resolution 2025-1295, sponsor Eastlick. This is a resolution exempting Old Hickory Pizza and Pub located at 1051 Donaldson Avenue from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit. Councilmember Eastlick, you're recognized.
Committee reports, please.
Okay. Chair Hill for the report of Government Operations and Regulations, please, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We voted approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, it's back to you, Mr. Eastlick.
Please open the public comment.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this resolution, please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this resolution, please raise your hand? All right. Seeing no one here seeking to be recognized on either side, Councilman Eastlick, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your resolution.
Motion to move forward.
Okay. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted this resolution. All right. So next, we are going to move through our consolidated consent agenda, okay? After which time Without objection, we are going to be taking up our budget items, okay? But first, we will dispose of our consolidated consent agenda. Okay. This is agenda item I. All resolutions and second and third reading ordinances on this agenda are included on the consent agenda if recommended for approval unanimously by all committees to which the item was referred. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. The item number, along with the resolution and ordinance number of the items on the consent agenda, will be read by me while they flash on the screen here and at home. Members of the council may remove any item from the consent agenda by request, getting in the queue before the consent agenda vote is taken. Okay? All right. The first item proposed for the consent agenda is agenda item 3, resolution 2025-1218. Agenda item 4, resolution 2025-1220. Agenda item 8, resolution 2025-1296. Agenda item 9, resolution 2025-1297. Agenda item 10, resolution 2025-1298. Agenda item 11, resolution 2025-1299. Agenda item 12, resolution 2025-1300. Agenda item 14, resolution 2025-1302. Agenda item 15, resolution 2025-1303. Agenda item 16, resolution 2025-1304. Agenda item 17, resolution 2025-1305. Agenda item 18, resolution 2025-1306. Agenda item 19, resolution 2025-1307. Agenda item 20, resolution 2025-1308. Agenda item 21, resolution 2025-1309. Agenda item 22, resolution 2025-1310. Agenda item 23, resolution 2025-1311. Agenda item 24, resolution 2025-1312. Agenda item 25, resolution 2025-1313. Agenda item 26, resolution 2025-1314. Agenda item 27, resolution 2025-1315. Agenda item 28, resolution 2025-1316. Agenda item 29, resolution 2025-1317. Agenda item 30, resolution 2025-1318. Agenda item 31, resolution 2025-1319. Agenda item 32, resolution 2025-1320. Agenda item 33, resolution 2025-1321. All right, moving on to bills on second reading proposed for the consent agenda. First among those is agenda item 44, ordinance BL 2025-847. Agenda item 45, ordinance BL 2025-848. Agenda item 46, ordinance BL 2025-849. Agenda item 47, ordinance BL 2025-850. Agenda item 48, ordinance BL 2025-851. Agenda item 49, ordinance BL 2025-852. Agenda item 50, ordinance BL 2025-853. Agenda item 51, ordinance BL 2025-854. Agenda item 52, ordinance BL 2025-855. Agenda item 53, ordinance BL 2025-856. Agenda item 54, ordinance BL 2025-857. Agenda item 55, ordinance BL 2025-858. And agenda item 56, ordinance BL 2025-859. Okay, that concludes the reading of the items proposed for consent, as there are no third reading items proposed for consent. Are any members seeking to remove items from the consent agenda? If so, members, please join the queue to request that. Okay, Mr. Benton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Number 21, 1309.
So agenda item 21. Okay, Mr. Benton has requested that agenda item 21, resolution 2025-1309, be removed from consent. It has been removed. Are any other members seeking to remove an item from consent? Okay. Given that, Mr. Clerk, can you please confirm that all committee reports are in for items on proposed for the consent agenda?
Yes, all committee reports are in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Okay, properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Council has approved all items on all resolutions and passed the items on second reading. Okay. All right. So that concludes our consent agenda. And so without objection, in advance of the remainder of our regular agenda, we will now take up the budget ordinances. Okay, these are agenda items 59, 60, and 61. Okay. Agenda item 59 is the operating budget ordinance. It is ordinance BL 2025-833, sponsor Porterfield. This is a bill to be entitled the Budget Ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of the Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee for fiscal year 2026. Council members, you will have received from Margaret Darby a memo regarding our voting procedure for the operating budget. So that's this bill, 833, as well as the tax levy, okay? As we move through this, we will proceed first acknowledging the sponsor, getting the bill before us. She will have the floor. If she chooses to move her substitute, that's in proper order. And then at that juncture, if members do want to move their amendments, they can get in the queue to do so, okay? and amendment votes can be taken by voice. But when we get to the end of this process for the bill, potentially as substituted and amended, at that time, that will require 21 votes and will be a roll call. Okay? All right, so let's get started with the operation budget. And we'll go first to Chair Porterfield. You are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports first, I'm assuming?
Yes, ma'am. You can give the committee report, and if you would please, ma'am, for the budget, the substitutes, and all the amendments, if you would go ahead and just give a consolidated report, please, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered BL 2025-833 and voted on the following. The Chair's substitute budget, 8 in favor, 2 against, 0 not voting. The second substitute that was filed, 2 in favor, 5 against, 3 not voting. Amendment 1 by Councilmember Sepulveda, 8 in favor, 0 against, 3 not voting. Amendment 2 by Councilmember Gadd, 9 in favor, 0 against, 2 not voting. Amendment 3 by Councilmembers Welsh and Bowe, 2 in favor, 6 against, 2 not voting. Amendment 4 by Councilmembers Welsh and Bowe, 1 in favor, 7 against, and 3 not voting. Amendment 5 by Councilmember Welsh, 3 in favor, 6 against, and 2 not voting. Amendment 6 by Councilmember Welsh, 0 in favor, 9 against, and 1 not voting. Amendment 7 by Councilmember Allen was withdrawn. Amendment 8 by Councilmember Toombs, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Late filed Amendment 1 by Councilmember Stiles, 6 in favor, 0 against, 4 not voting. Late filed Amendment 2 by Councilmember Stiles, 5 in favor, 0 against, 4 not voting. The Porterfield substitute as amended, 7 in favor, 2 against, 1 not voting, and that was amended with amendments 1, 2, 8, and late filed 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you for that very detailed report about all our substitutes and the amendments that were taken up yesterday in the Budget and Finance Committee. So, Chair Porterfield, I will entertain a motion to get the bill before us, please.
Move for approval.
Okay, it's properly moved and seconded, and now it's back to you.
I would like to move my substitute.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Chair Porterfield, you have the floor to describe that substitute.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. First, I would like to thank the mayor for giving us a strong budget to start off with. I would like to thank Director Reed and Budget Officer Pratt, as well as the whole team, Director Darby, the council office staff, and Vice Chair Toombs for all of your support through this process. We did a lot of extensive work on this budget. The substitute budget includes an $8.2 million increase for employee pay, which was an additional 1% across the board increase, totaling 2% across the board for Metro employees to match the civil service recommendations, $250,000 to support maternal health via the Health Department's Strong Baby Initiative. Last week, Tennessee made news for being #1, not for education or affordable housing, but for being #1 in the country for maternal mortality rates from 2018 to 2022. With 166 pregnancy-related deaths in that 5-year span, it made our state's maternal mortality rate 41 per 100,000 births. So this budget supports 10 additional doulas to support that. It's $200,000 additional dollars to expand food assistance programming through social services, which will cover more food pop-ups, taking food to people in the community, home and community-based customers, small home repairs for anyone in need. $25,000 of that $200,000 is allocated to the branch for emergency food programming. $150,000 to fund the NAZA after-school programming, which will be for juvenile services through the public library. It funds a pilot program for justice-involved youth and youth in alternative learning centers and camps for students for families from a lower socioeconomic status. $100,000 to explore additional public-private housing partnerships. So we've heard from a number of organizations and community members about alternative ways to fund housing in Nashville. This earmarks $100,000 for a consultant for exploratory housing model to increase the tools for affordable housing in our toolbox with an additional public-private housing partnership. $88,000 appropriated to parks to support the Shelby Golf Course employees. $75,000 to support court appointed special advocates through juvenile court, which provides critical advocacy services for children and youth in foster care across Davidson County, increasing their capacity by 11%, allowing them to serve up to 400 children annually, which represents 56% of the estimated 715 children in foster care, $75,000 for the Oasis Center to provide emergency youth shelters through the Office of Homelessness, $60,000 to support a museum study to capture Nashville's history, $25,000 to support Sister Cities programs, to fully or partially fund travel scholarships provided for students facing financial or other barriers to travel, ensuring all students, regardless of background, can access global learning. This budget also includes support for the development of a community-driven safe plan under the Health Department, funding flexibility to allow the Office of Youth Safety to continue to use any unused funds from their current fiscal year. Two more things, Vice Mayor. Translation services through the Nashville Fire Department and support for the Beat of Life programming through our county jail through the Sheriff's Office. And with that, I will ask for support.
All right. Thank you, Chair Porterfield. So there is a motion to substitute with Chair Porterfield's substitute, and we are on to discussion. Okay, and pending the discussion, as that continues, a motion to amend is proper. And so if anyone wants to offer their amendments, they can get in the queue right now. So you can be either in the queue to just generally speak in support of the substitute, or for your amendments. I would encourage us maybe to consider just let's do those amendments first, please, colleagues. And then, I mean, we are on. All right, thank you. I guess I should have read the memo that I helped draft earlier and reminded myself about that. Thank you for the reminder, Special Counsel Darby. Okay, so order of operations then would be, we are on discussion about the substitute. There is a motion to approve. It is properly seconded. We are on discussion of that substitute. We will vote on that substitute subsequent to discussion, and then we will move through to the amendments, okay? So Ms. Benedict, I see you standing. Are you speaking on the motion to substitute? Go ahead, please, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd like to yield my time to Councilmember Porterfield.
Okay. Ms. Porterfield, is there more you want to say about your substitute?
30 seconds more.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. One thing that I did not include is that there's funding for the Tennessee Justice Center, which will continue our city's commitment to ensuring that every Nashville resident has access to quality health care. The substitute includes funding to the Tennessee Justice Center to continue the work in the Napier community, helping with 10 care appeals. The last thing that I want to say is there have been lots of conversations about if we have looked at ways to reduce the funding. And if you came to any of these budget work sessions, you will see that we did discuss and try to look for ways for additional funding sources, as well as ways to lower the amount that we're spending with our departments. However, after very extensively searching through the budget line by line, this is what we were able to come up with to do the most amount of good for our residents and to provide excellent services for our residents at the lowest tax burden possible. So with that, I would like to ask for support from my colleagues.
Okay, thank you. All right, so there is a motion to substitute with Chair Porterfield's substitute as previously described. Is there anyone in the queue seeking to be recognized just generally on the substitute at this time before we move to that vote? Subsequent to that vote, if the substitute is approved, then there will be a motion to approve as substituted, at which time then amendments can be taken up, okay? Anyone seeking discussion generally on the substitute? Mr. Druffel? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to insert this, but I think this is probably a good thing. I've been on the Budget and Finance Committee for 6 years and chaired the Education Committee and Human Services Committee in the last term. And I've been very proud that Dr. Battle, the school board, and MNPS, with what we call aspirational budget increases, included ensuring that teachers have the highest paid in Tennessee, and programs such as Aspiring Scholars. I continue to be very proud of their success, phenomenal. And In the past few years, I've learned we have great people that work in Metro, and it's important that we ensure they receive strong financial support with improved salary structures and raises. Our police and fire are the very best and outstanding dedication to our safety. I've spent time getting to know their leaders and teams. They're dedicated and trust they have our backs every minute of every day to make Nashville safe. I'm very glad we are expanding strong support in youth and programs that will lead to stronger opportunities. I appreciate the mayor and Chair Porterfield. They are, as I working, determine what they think is best for the city. I agree with their priorities, but I think we should have toned down the increased costs to recognize the impact on taxpayers. The proposed large property tax increase does not come in isolation. We must recognize the economic environment, which has high inflation over the past 2 years. Interest rates are much higher, putting home ownership and rent at a much higher cost. The current worldwide environment creates uncertainty. We have successfully received support for a transit and an added optional sales tax increase. We're now asking for a 39% property tax increase in the GSD and a 26% increase in the USD. The higher appraisals come to win-loss scenarios in our district. It comes at additional costs for homeownership and rentals as the property taxes are passed on. In my district, many people bought their houses for the $300,000 to $500,000 for the last few years for 2,000 square foot ranches, typical houses. The trend has been for developers to buy those for $1 million and then build 3 to 5 million homes. This has dramatically increased the assessed value and therefore disproportionately the property tax for the same house. It sounds good to have a valuable piece of property, but it's only good if you sell your home. Most of my neighbors love their house, their community. Many homeowners in my district live among numerous family members and long-term friends. I believe we lost sight of the burden to our long-term taxpayers that are the foundation of what makes Nashville special. At some recent community meetings with 80-plus long-term people in attendance, I heard from long-term Nashvilleians, especially seniors and families, we are pricing them out of Nashville. They are the people that go to our churches and we can count on as neighbors. In Consolidated Johnson's substitute, I believe we'd have a more incremental approach that balances some of the critical needs of the city with the taxpayer burden. I believe that the mayor and the chair Porterfield have priorities in MNPS, Metro employees, and police fire right. I just believe we needed more of an incremental tax approach, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Druffel. Is anyone else in the queue seeking recognition generally on the motion to substitute? Mindful that once amendments are put on the bill, there will be a motion to, approve as substituted and amended. Ms. Lee, I see you're in the queue. Do you seek to speak generally on the motion to substitute?
Yes.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I think I'm in the right place because I just want to stand in support of the substitution. I want to say the substitution is good for our employees. It's good for our school system. It's good for our youth. It's good for our city. It's good for the safety of our city. A lot of thought was put into this, and I know there are some folks that are looking at what we're getting for this. We are getting a lot for this. So this is good for our city overall, and I do hope, and I encourage all of my council members to go ahead and vote in support of this substitution. It is good for our city. It is good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Anyone else in the queue seeking to be recognized on the motion to substitute? Okay, I'm going to go in order. Mr. Huffman, you are next in the queue, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Greatly appreciated, and I will do my best to not take up 3 minutes, although, as y'all know, I'm a little long-winded. So let's talk about what this substitute does and does not. Number one, I want to talk about what it does, because I heard somebody earlier say that we got to be fiscally responsible. Being physically responsible means investing in our communities, period. Just want to say that to get that out loud. Now, let's talk about what it does in District 14. Number one, we have a major public safety crisis in this county, regardless of crime statistics, and I'm not looking to get into that right now. But the opening of the Southeast Precinct will dramatically reduce the Hermitage Precinct service area. It drops it from 120,000 residents to 90,000 residents. That means quicker response times. That means a safer Donaldson, Hermitage, and Old Hickory. That's reason enough to vote for it. But let's talk about the investment in homeless services. At a time when the federal government is dropping the ball and saying, homelessness is not my problem. That's the state's problem. That's the city's problem. In a time where our back is against the corner, we have to support those that are unhoused in our community. The additional commitments by the mayor in this budget are well noticed. It goes so much more than just your typical permanent supportive housing that we've been looking at. This goes a lot further. There's $45 million just in the United Housing Fund. I can't highlight that enough. We're so behind on housing. And lastly, and this one's personal for me, I want to talk about education for a second. Both my parents were public school teachers. I've said that plenty of times on this floor. But to think that we are at a good level right now with our schools is just not a wise thought to have. If you think that we're at a good level, go to any school in your district, go in the bathroom, look at the fixtures. If those fixtures need to be updated, I promise you, your school is being underfunded right now. Last thing I'm going to say, and this is really it. I said this when I was running, but if you think that the cost of education is expensive, wait till you see the cost of ignorance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huffman. Next, generally on the motion to substitute in the queue, I see next Ms. Evans-Siegel. You are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I want to echo a few things that I have heard, which is that the Budget Committee took very seriously the tax increase. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that what's really tricky about the tax increase is we're going to see residents who are going to face significant increases, and we will see residents who barely face any increase. And that is because of the way our state law requires that we handle reassessment and reappraisal. But we took the burden, the highest burden, incredibly seriously when we looked at this and looked at what we can cut. And what we could cut was not going to offset the services and value actually provided to our taxpayers. And what does that mean? It means the cost of living in Nashville is not just the $12 to $20 to $100 to $300 or $400 a year that people are paying. It is the free childcare provided by Metro Parks in the summer to parents so that they can go to work. It is the Promising Scholars Program, which makes sure that kids can advance and they can go to school for free. So again, their parents can work in the summer. It means plowing roads when it snows so that people who don't have a choice to work from home can still get to their job and can keep their job. It means that we're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul by cutting our reserve fund in the short term so that we're paying millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in wasted interest, which waste people's taxpayer dollars for decades. It's not an easy call to say we're going to ask people to take on this burden, but it's the call that makes sense if we want to provide the services that allow people to stay here, the bus services that allow people to stay here, the filling the potholes so they're not popping their tires and incurring more cost. The cost to live in Nashville is not just a tax bill. It is the cost of everything we do every day, and this budget maintains the services we need to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Evans-Siegel. Next in the queue on the motion to substitute with Chair Porterfield substitute is Councilmember Weiner. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate it. I'll try to make this quick, but it's not going to be that quick. So if anybody has extra time to share, I'd like it at the end. This has been one of the most challenging, confounding budget cycles that we've faced as a city, and certainly one of the most difficult that I've had to consider. Due to poor acoustics and no microphones in the jury assembly room for those of us who are hearing impaired, hearing impaired, it was easier for me to watch on the committee on TV, no matter where I was. We begin fiscal year 26 with a projected shortfall of about $100 million, driven by a range of factors, some of which we couldn't control, including the loss of state and federal funding. From that starting point, our charter requires us to develop a budget that funds essential Metro services and fulfills our solemn obligation to fairly compensate our employees. To provide some broader context for the decision before us, I'd like to reference the National League of Cities 2024 City Fiscal Condition Survey. And I quote, "The gradual reduction of the ARPA funds has necessitated a more fiscal, conservative approach as cities anticipate a decrease in federal support. Also, with the near depletion of ARPA funds, governments acknowledge the pressing need to tighten their budgets," end quote. In this budget cycle, we are considering two proposals that move in the opposite direction. Here in Davidson County, this year's consideration is further complicated by a surge in appeals to the Assessor's Office and Board of Equalization, which is expected to further reduce our assessed property values and the money that will come in. I'd like to clarify a key point about education spending in our city and how we fund it. 37.2% of your property tax bill goes directly to metro schools, and that's up 13% from last year. Education is by far the largest important single item in our budget. Under the state's TISA model, local contributions to fund education are based on property values and taxable sales. Essentially, it is the measure of a county's ability to pay the bill. This year, Davidson County's required contribution will need to increase to offset what Metro Schools assumes to be an approximate $10 million reduction. In the face of this flashing yellow light, Metro Schools chose to ask that we fund programs that in the past years were set up and funded using one-time pandemic relief funds, a demand that adds a significant complexity to this year's budget. While we are required to allocate funds to the district, including relief funds during the pandemic, we did not then, nor can we today, determine how those monies are spent. I've spent hours poring over this. Frankly, I find myself, as do likely several of my colleagues, between a rock and a hard place with three distinct options. I believe we need a collaborative commitment from this body to establish, one paragraph, I'm done, to establish fiscal guardrails, transparency, and accountability, guidelines that help us control spending without compromising safety, service delivery, our responsibility to city employees. We must preserve core services, keeping our streets safe and smooth, our neighborhoods clean, our first responders equipped, and our employees respected, all while remaining accountable to our taxpayers. After much thought and consideration, I will be supporting the chair's substitute.
Thank you, Ms. Weiner. Is anyone else in the queue seeking to be recognized on the motion to substitute? Okay, so seeing nobody raising their hand for that purpose, I'm going to assume that everybody else that remains in the queue is for purposes of amending subsequent to passage of this motion. So just last call, anyone else? All right. Okay, so we are on a motion to substitute with the chair's, budget chair Porterfield's substitute. It is properly seconded, and we have concluded that general discussion. The motion to substitute can be taken by voice. And so we will now then move to the vote, okay? All in favor of the chair's substitute, please say aye. Any voting no? Okay, it's 3 noes. Any abstentions? And 1 abstention. Okay, the substitute is on the bill. And so it is back to you, Chair Porterfield, for a motion on your bill as substituted.
Move for approval as substituted.
Okay. All right. Now we are on to discussion of the bill as substituted. Got a little ahead of myself earlier, so y'all are all still here in the queue as it relates to, so we are on to discussion. And in this phase of discussion, the motion to amend is a proper motion. And first in the queue for discussion is Ms. Gadd. Councilmember, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you to my colleagues for the incredible work done during this budget cycle. I know none of this work is easy, so thank you so much. But I do come to everyone to ask for an amendment. I'd like to move Amendment 2 with a brief explanation.
Is there a second on the motion to amend with Amendment 2? Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Wonderful. Almost didn't catch myself there. So thank you, Madam Speaker. This amendment brings together work that we've done in this chamber already. A couple of months ago, we unanimously approved, and many of you signed on to support a resolution requesting that Metro Nashville Police Department, the Office of Family Safety, and those from the DA's office come together and determine where best would a position live, and to bring us a budget number, a position that would ultimately save lives and save lives by doing this as a domestic violence investigator position that would live in MMPD in the domestic violence division as a detective position. This position specifically will be in charge of coordinating with domestic violence survivors and those who have received an order of protection from their offender. That offender under state law has a requirement to, if they possess a firearm, they're required to dispossess that firearm to a third party. That third party is noted on a form. The only teeth we have with ensuring that the deadliest time for a victim to leave a domestic abuse situation is during that time when they've actually sought an order of protection and they're seeking to leave. That is the deadliest time for that victim, that potential victim, that survivor. And the one tool we have, we see it done in Scott County, Tennessee, which is over towards the east side of the state, but can be done here, which is to have a position that can actually go and ensure that those firearms that are supposed to go to a third party away from the offender is actually in that third party's possession. And that's what this position does. And I appreciate the Office of Family Services, MMPD, and others. But this is an amount of $112,400 to fund that position. And I appreciate everyone's support. I'm happy to take questions if necessary.
Thank you, Ms. Gadd. All right, there is a motion to amend with Amendment 2. It's properly seconded, and so we are on discussion of the motion to amend with Amendment 2. Is anyone seeking to be recognized regarding Amendment 2? Okay, I'm just going to take those by hand, okay, since we've got a queue here that represents the desire of a motion to amend. And so, Ms. Stiles, do you seek to be recognized in support of the motion to amend with Amendment 2? You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor, and I want to thank my colleague for bringing this amendment forth. Chair Evans had a very extensive week of presentations from the Office of Family Safety. Women's Caucus did a follow-up on that, and so the Women's Caucus is in full support of this amendment. It was on our budget wish list, and so I would appreciate colleagues supporting this. We are in dangerous territory. We all know that domestic violence in and of itself is horrific, but our numbers, particularly in Nashville, are increasingly high. And so this is an opportunity for us to do the right thing and support women and children fleeing this situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Stiles. Is anyone else seeking to be recognized on the motion to amend with Amendment 2? Ms. Swara, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I also rise in support of this amendment for two reasons. I shared this evening the loss of a loved one last weekend, Miss Hannah Mina Pierce, that was killed by her husband on Sunday. And so that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that as we talk about gun violence in this state, and there's so many things that we could not do as a body, it's incumbent on us to do all that we can. And so these particular amendments, in addition to helping with domestic violence, is also one ways that we can also help those that have guns in their possession that shouldn't, which are people that are already found guilty of domestic violence. And so this is a way to also do that as well. So for those two reasons, I stand in support and I ask everyone to vote for it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else seeking to be recognized? You would show that by your hand on the motion to amend with Amendment 2. Okay, seeing no one else seeking to be recognized, we'll move to the vote. Again, all of these amendments can be taken by voice. Okay, all in favor of Amendment 2, please say aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay. You're going to abstain, Ms. Porterfield? Okay. Chair Porterfield has indicated that she will be abstaining on all amendments to the substitute. Okay, so that amendment has passed, and so Chair Porterfield, I'm going to go back to you for a motion to approve as substituted.
I renew my approval motion on my substitute as further amendment with amendment number 2.
Okay. So we continue our discussion. Again, a motion to amend within this discussion at any time is proper. Next in the queue for that purpose is Councilwoman Welsh. You are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to withdraw all of my amendments with a brief comment.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. You know, we have been talking for several weeks and talking tonight, we've heard tonight, about how difficult this budget cycle has been and how we have to accept that certain programs are being underfunded or not funded at all. But once again, this year, that pain isn't being shared equally across Metro. MNPD's budget has increased $94 million since 2021. That's a 44% increase in funding. And when you add in the additional $24 million that will likely be approved tonight, MNPD will have received $108 million in budget increases in 6 years. That's a 55% increase in funding. And I really can't think of what other department ever gets that much of an increase, period, much less gets that much of an increase in such a short time. Because so much of our budget is constantly given to MNPD, and we are hesitant to ever take money from MNPD. Programs like the eviction right to counsel, which I wanted to amend the budget with, get ignored. Despite what was said last night in committee that the program wasn't ready to expand and couldn't take it, that isn't true. They are, in fact, ready. They could use more money to hire additional lawyers to save people from being evicted, to help prevent homelessness, to do community education and outreach, and help get people rehoused when eviction is inevitable. But I couldn't even get people last night to consider taking $15,000 from the MNP budget, much less $6 million for that. And I really think that this illustrates that our priorities as a city are way out of whack. As we've heard for my entire time on council, public safety is more than policing, and we cannot continually sacrifice those things that are important to our citizens by undercutting programs and underfunding programs like eviction right to counsel and other. So I am sadly withdrawing all of my amendments because I believe what we are leaving out is going to have a major negative impact on our city and our people. And I hope in my last 2 years on council, we can find it in ourselves to start funneling some of those millions of dollars towards other programs that actually make our city more safe. Thank you.
Okay. No clapping, please. Councilmember Welsh has withdrawn Amendment 3, 4, 5, and 6 with her explanation. And so next in the queue is Pro Tem Sepulveda. You are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move Amendment 1 with a comment.
Is there a second? Okay, back to you, Ms. Sepulveda.
Thank you. So my amendment adds an additional $50,000 for the MC3 program from the contingency account. For those who are unfamiliar, I suspect most of us here are at this point, MC3 creates a pathway to union, craft, building trade careers for Nashville residents with the emphasis on serving women, communities of color, transitioning veterans, and other populations historically underserved by workforce development programs. We know that not everyone goes to college. Some people are trying to rework what their career is, and this provides them a pathway to do that through one of our building trades we have here. It places them in apprenticeship programs. I was asking for an additional $50,000 because we know that there have been several cuts from the federal government in regards to grants. And that program continues to grow every year. Several of us have attended their graduations. I just wanted to give some quick numbers to show how successful this program is. Applications received since the program began in 2019 through March of 2024 have been a little over 3,000. Classes held have been 17. Number of graduates have been 344.
and job placement rate for graduates have been 70.3%. And those placed in pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, and journey level programs have been 216. So it's a very successful program that helps our community. And with that, I would ask for your support.
Okay, thank you, Pro Tem. So there is a motion to amend with Amendment 1. It is properly seconded. If you seek to be recognized on discussion on the motion to amend, if you would please just raise your hand. Councilman Bradford, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm standing in support of this amendment. I myself have been able to attend some of these graduations and talk to and meet these amazing individuals. And the reason I'm supporting this, and I think we all should support this, is as we have heard time and time again about providing opportunities for our city and for our residents and I see this as an opportunity to divert people who, with no other option or opportunity ahead of them, might turn down a different path that would lead them into our prison system. These are individuals who are deciding to move forward with their lives, to retrain, to get a good job, to support themselves and their family. And in some cases, some of these individuals, this is their second chance. And so I believe we should do what we can to help these individuals, to help them help themselves and become valuable members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bradford. Next is Councilmember Suara. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Also rise in support of this amendment. I had the pleasure of being the graduation speaker last year. And in addition to everything that is shared, I think that we should also look at this as an investment. And this is one that has a very high rate of return for us. So this is not just about helping the individuals, but we're helping ourselves as a city, because the more people can stand on their own, have a job, then we won't have to put money in eviction right to council. We won't have to talk about homelessness. And so as a city, this is actually helping us. And for the little amount that it costs us to be able to do this, help people learn how to fish, I think it's worth it and more. So with that, I renew my support and ask everybody to sign to vote for it.
Thank you. And is anyone else seeking to be recognized on the motion to amend with Amendment 1? Ms. Hill, I'm going to go first to Councilmember Vo behind you there. Go ahead, Ms. Vo, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. I'm rising to also support Amendment 1. I feel so honored. I was the keynote speaker for the last graduation. It was held at Napier Community Center, and, you know, I think it's so important. The individuals who graduated are going to be the people who are building our homes, our roads, our schools, our towers, our bridges, and it was so amazing seeing their families and them so excited about a career. They already had some lined up for them. And I think that's so important as we support our community in what are we doing to shape all different areas and seeing careers and pathways, that there are so many out there. So I stand in support of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chair Hill, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I just want to rise in favor of this as a almost 40-year tradesperson, a former union member, former union shop steward, that I stand for this. This really is great for young folks to learn a trade that can last them an entire lifetime, to help provide a family, and it's just it's a great thing, and I support it.
Thank you, Chair Hill. Mr. Duffel, you're recognized on the motion to amend with Amendment 1. Go ahead, sir.
Just very quickly, I've been to several, and Sam, I have to recognize Sam, who controls these and manages these. Phenomenal job. I've been going to him for 3 years. I got to be a speaker also. We really need to get our hacks off and find more programs like what Sam's developed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duffel. Is anyone else seeking to be recognized on the motion to amend with Amendment 1? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move to the vote. Again, this can be by voice. All in favor of Amendment 1, please say aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay. That amendment is on the bill, and I'm back to you, Sponsor Porterfield, to renew your motion to get it back before us again.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I renew my approval motion on my substitute as further amendment with Amendments 1 and 2.
Okay. All right, properly moved and seconded, so we would continue with discussion. Next in the queue is Councilmember Allen. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to withdraw my motion number 7 with a brief explanation.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much. 120 people spoke, or over 120 people spoke at our public hearing on the budget, and the top 3 subjects that they talked about were employee pay, youth safety, and housing, and the need for more affordable housing. And so when the budget came out and we were only able to put $16 million in the budget for the Barnes Fund, which is one of our most effective tools for affordable housing, there were many people who contacted me and perhaps other council members asking if there were ways to put more money into the Barnes Fund. It is one of our 2 most effective tools. Currently, we've produced over 6,000 units of either homeowner, new construction or rehabilitation and rental, and it also funds Habitat for Humanity. It's been a very effective program. It enables builders often to secure additional funding because they've got that secure funding on the front end. And we've, through our robust funding of the Barnes Fund for the last couple of years, built up a lot of capacity for nonprofits, the groups that can further use it. And there is concern that with the sudden withdrawal of that we risk losing some of that capacity if they're not able to build that. So I went hunting. I know that Councilmember Porterfield did an amazing job looking under the couch cushions for everything, for the things that we had all indicated as priorities. And I'm so supportive of her project. But I was hopeful that maybe there were a few more there. I did manage to find about $3 million, which is what my amendment would have added to the Barnes Fund, knowing that some of those sources that I had looked at might be further scrutinized. I did get calls from Budget and Finance and other departments explaining why the choices that I had made were going to be difficult. And then at a late filed resolution right before the Budget Committee met, $3 million was turned back in essentially from other funding that can be made available to the Barnes Fund. So I thank my co-sponsors on this and the people who wrote in the support of that. We are going to be able to give some more money to the Barnes Fund, and I just thank my lucky stars and the powers that be that it dropped down from us. And I ask my fellow council members to continue to look for innovative ways through public-private partnerships that we can perhaps again, add more to that through this year because it is an important part of the unified housing strategy. There are other tools there. I know that we will be building those up, and I support that fully. But in the meantime, I would love to see this continue. So I withdraw my motion, but keep looking, council members. Thank you.
All right. Amendment 7 is withdrawn. Okay. All right, so we are on a motion to approve as substituted so far with Amendment 1 and 2. Next in the queue is Councilmember Stiles. You are recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I think I have to suspend the rules. Yes.
Yes, so you would like to move to suspend the rules to take up which of your late filed amendments?
I guess we could start with
we got to
the
do
first
them
one. There's
individually.
2. Okay. Though we can start with the one for Pet Community Center.
Is that late file 1 or?
Is that 1 or 2? 1, okay. Then we'll start with 1.
Yeah,
that works out.
Point of order, Ms. Porterfield.
The spay and neuter is late filed 1. The safe bar is late filed 2.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay. So we will go to Chair Prep T on the nature of the late file. This was taken up in Budget and Finance Committee yesterday in Chair Porterfield's earlier consolidated report. I just will remind colleagues that this received a vote of 6 in favor, 0 against, 4 not voting. We'll just remind of that committee report. And now, Mr. Prep T, for the report of your committee on the nature of the late file.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We considered the late file nature of late Amendment 1 and voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to suspend the rules.
Okay. So having heard the report of Chair Prep T, there is a motion to suspend the rules. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the rules are suspended. So it's on to you, Ms. Porterfield, or rather, Ms. Stiles, as I look right at you and say her name, because go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. This amendment is for $20,000 colleagues, I've said it before. I mean, we've heard me for the last 3 or 4 years talking about MAC and the needs that we have in Davidson County. Spay and neuter continues to be our #1 issue and complaints. You've seen the emails. Our facility is at capacity. We cannot do any of these surgeries really efficiently the way that we need to. So Pet Community Center, last year we gave them $20,000 and they added a designated day that's just for Metro. And people are able to bring their dogs and cats in for spay and neuter services. So this is another $20,000 to continue that service.
Okay. Ms. Stiles, the rules are suspended. Did you move approval on this?
I would like to move for approval.
Okay. There's a motion to approve late file amendment 1. Ms. Stiles, you've heard the explanation of that. It is properly seconded, and so we are on to discussion of that motion to amend. Is there anybody seeking to be recognized? If so, please do raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we will move to the vote. All in favor of this amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Ms. Porterfield, it's back to you. That amendment has passed, and so if you would renew your motion. I'm sorry, Ms. Porterfield, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I renew my approval motion on my substitute as further amended, with amendments 1, 2, and late filed amendment 1.
Okay. All right, it's back properly before us in its current status. Ms. Stiles, we had to take these individually. I'm just going to honor the fact that you were in the queue and go back to you on your late filed amendment number 2. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I would like to suspend the rules after we hear from Mr.
You would like to move to suspend the rules, okay? I will acknowledge Chair Prep T on the nature of the late file.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. The committee considered the late filed nature of Amendment 2 and voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to suspend the rules.
Okay. As I did last time, I did also share again, just since it was a ways back, the committee report on this late file was 5 in favor, 0 against, and 4 not voting. Having heard the report also of Chair Prep T on the nature of the late file, is there any objection to the suspension of the rules to get this late amendment regarding the Safe Bar program before us? Okay, seeing none, the rules are suspended. Go ahead, Ms. Stiles, on your motion to approve, please.
Thank you very much again, Vice Mayor. So the Women's Caucus has supported,
If you would make your motion to
I'd like to
approve.
move to approve amendment number 2.
Okay, it's properly moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Thank you. Women's Caucus, last 3-4 years, we've been supporting sexual assault centers, program Safe Bar, where bartenders are trained to try and keep an eye out for potential sexual assault encounters. There are coasters that they give out to patrons. They're able to test beverages on the coasters for GHB and a couple other drugs. And so initially it was very difficult to get bars on Broadway and some other bars and restaurants in Davidson County on board, but we have been advocating, and now this is a requirement for the state for people to obtain their liquor license. They now have to take the Safe Bar training. So this is the last year that will be coming to ask the council to support this. We're working on getting some other organizations to step in as this is now up and running. So this helps with the app, which helps residents and tourists coming into town to know which bars have taken this training, are actually advocating and looking out for people's safety. And it's also marketing materials and opportunities for additional training events.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Stiles, for an explanation of that amendment. Is anyone seeking to be recognized on the motion to amend with late filed amendment 2 regarding Safe Bar? If you are, please do raise your hand. Okay, okay, Mr. Huffman, go ahead, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and I just couldn't get in the queue quick enough. There was a discussion about this last night that the purpose was specifically for the development of an application. I would just like a little bit of clarity from the sponsor, if that's okay with that.
Sure. Back to you, Ms. Stiles.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. So yes, let me answer Councilmember Huffman's question. So there is app upkeep. So as I said, we've helped to build out this app. There's maintenance, the supplies, the coasters, marketing, and the events, awareness. Those are that is all contained in the 87. So it's not just 87 for the app.
Thank you. Mr. Huffman, does that clarify for you? Okay. Anyone else who can be recognized on the motion to amend with this amendment, raise your hands if so. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor of this amendment, please say aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay. It's back to you, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I renew my approval motion on my substitute as further amended with amendments 1, 2, and late filed amendment 1, late filed amendment 2.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's properly before us in its current status. Next in the queue for discussion is Councilmember Toombs. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to move my amendment number 8.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Go ahead, Ms. Toombs.
Thank you. And I want to start off by thanking Chair Porterfield for the extensive amount of work that she put into this substitute budget. And I did not want to do an amendment, but when I saw that neighbor to neighbor was not included, that really nagged at me. I know there were some concerns about prior deliverables. Neighbor to Neighbor has a new executive director as well as a new board chair. So, and they've only been in their positions for under a year. And so they're doing a lot of cleanup and catching up. And so this $25,000 is a nominal investment in a organization that has a major impact for our neighborhoods and for our residents. They empower residents in their communities. They teach residents how to advocate for themselves and how to make decisions for themselves as to what's best for their community. So they're an integral part of who we are as Nashville, and this is a nominal investment in their endeavors. So I renew my motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to amend with Amendment 8. It is properly seconded. Is anyone seeking to be recognized in support of Amendment 8? If so, do please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move. Do you want to be recognized on Amendment 8? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Stiles, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. The Women's Caucus had this as one of our wish list items at $75,000. I very rarely say things like something is better than nothing, but in this particular case, it's true. Neighbor to Neighbor, under their new leadership, has a dedicated plan. They came, they presented to Minority Caucus, to Women's Caucus, and they have a very clear direction, more so than I think they have in the past. So being able to give them some additional funding is critical.
Okay, anyone else seeking to be recognized on this amendment? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, as we shared with the clerk earlier, Ms. Porterfield is abstaining on this full complement of amendments, and that will be so noted. Okay, so that is the last among our amendments. So it is back to you for a final motion on your bill as substituted with the amendments, please, ma'am.
I renew my approval motion on my substitute as further amended with amendments 1, 2, 8, and late filed amendment 1, as well as late filed amendment 2.
All right. Okay. So we are now then on discussion for the motion to approve the bill as substituted and amended with amendments 1, 2, 8, late file 1, and late file 2. Okay? So now, having disposed of all those amendments, we are on to a general discussion of this bill. And first in the queue at this juncture is Ms. Johnston. You are recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to move my substitute, please.
Is there a second for that motion? Okay. Properly moved, properly seconded. So we are on discussion now for the motion to substitute with the second substitute, okay? In the background still remains the primary substitute with all its amendments. So we will dispose of this motion, and depending on how that goes, we may be back to the previous one, or we may be on to other things. So go ahead, Ms. Johnston, you're recognized.
Thank you. First, I'd like to describe the nuts and bolts of this substitute in comparison to the mayor's budget and chair's substitute. This substitute does the following. It reduces the GSD tax levy from $2.782 to 2.617, and the USD levy reduces from 0.032 to 0.029 for a total levy reduction from 2.814 to 2.646, which is a reduction of 16.8 cents or nearly 28% for the combined tax levy. In order to reduce the tax levy, we have to reduce spending. The mayor's budget reflects an increase of about $570 million in new spending over FY25. My substitute reduces those increase, but only by about $120 million. No department received a budget cut. No department received a budget cut, and services will not be reduced. Reductions in proposed increases were modest, mostly coming from the restoration of FY25 targeted savings. In this substitute, MNPS does not receive a cut that is against the law. They receive the fourth largest increase in history with a $77,550,000 increase over last year's allocation. A reduction to the newly created sustainability funds were made, but remained 25% above the policy required minimums. All council wish list items funded in the chair's substitute are funded in this substitute. And finally, employees in this substitute receive an additional 1.5% across the board, bringing their total across the board to 2.5 instead of the 1% in the mayor's budget and the 2% in the chair's substitute. Our employees are our most important asset, and their compensation shouldn't be toyed with like it was with the mayor's false promises and political jockeying. The mayor's proposed tax increase is incredibly steep and far too burdensome, especially for our hardworking families, elderly residents, and our small businesses. We've heard a lot from and about what departments want and need. They came out last night in a coordinated effort to warn about the devastating effects of my reductions, which is nothing but fear-mongering and falsities, as they are all getting a healthy increase to their budgets over last year in my budget. What we aren't talking about is the taxpayer. This term, the mayor has already raised the sales tax, and we've seen a record increase in everyone's property values. No one wants our government to work efficiently and provide quality services to this county more than me. No one wants our departments to have the tools and resources they need to do a great job more than me. But I work for the taxpayers, not the departments or the mayor, and his budget doesn't reflect the balance we need to provide those quality services without overburdening the taxpayer. That's who we aren't talking about, the taxpayer. People throughout this county are struggling, and we're in an affordability crisis, yet all I hear from this body and the administration is the juice isn't worth the squeeze. The fact is, this body isn't willing to squeeze at all. Who are we willing to squeeze? The taxpayer, whose voice has been missing from this entire conversation. The taxpayers, the ones that are subsidizing this historic increase in spending. People have not forgotten the 34% tax increase from 5 years ago and who voted for it, and they're not going to forget this either. And they will be continually reminded of this massive burden that this body is set to endorse month after month and year after year. It's very real to them. Again, I'd like to thank the council office for working so hard on this substitute, and to my two co-sponsors, Councilmember Hancock and Druffel. To the taxpayers out there, I'm sorry that there's just no appetite in this chamber for reducing spending, and that's the only way to reduce your tax burden. I know the substitute that offers a 28% reduction to the proposed tax increase doesn't have the support of this body, so I'll spare everyone the drama and the time of the debate. I withdraw.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Johnston. The second substitute is withdrawn. What that means then is we are back on the motion to approve as substituted with the previously stated amendments. Is anyone in the queue seeking to be recognized on that approval motion? Okay. Next, Ms. Hancock, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I'd like to thank everyone on the Budget Committee, especially the Budget Chair, for all the hard work they've done and put into this substitute budget. And the essential rate of the budget was set by the Mayor's office and essentially stayed the same with the council substitute. I'd like to talk a little bit about District 9, where last year the average house value was $270,000. This year,
it's $407,000. So last year, the average price of taxes for the year was $1,972. With the CTR, the certified tax rate, if we would keep everything the same, they would have to pay $60 additional. With the mayor's proposed budget and our substitute, they have to pay an extra $800. The average income in my district is $53,000 a year. The average wage, that's about $25 an hour. So after taxes, they're left with $34.95 a month. And out of that $34.95 1 month, they're supposed to find $800 extra dollars. Say they're a renter. The average rent in my district is $850. Everybody knows that the landlords are going to add that $802 into the cost of rent. So they're going to have to pay 13 months rent instead of 12. And I can't support that. They're already paying enough. I've had so many people come to all of my Talk to Tanya meetings with nothing but, what are you going to do about the budget? Please don't vote for more taxes. And so I can't support that because I need to support the wishes of my constituents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hancock. Next is Councilwoman Suara. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I want to stand in support of the substitute budget, and I want to thank Chair Porterfield for all the hard work that went into it. And even though the other substitute was withdrawn, I think it also showed us why this substitute is better. Leaders are meant to make tough decisions. And making tough decisions means that sometimes it may not be popular, but you still have to make it. It shows that in order to be able to provide the $15, provide such small savings, we have to cut services. And I also want to let us know that when we're talking about taxpayers, taxpayers are people in this room too. We all pay taxes. Taxpayers are our teachers,
No clapping,
our employees.
please.
The teachers, the employees, the firefighters, the people that we're trying to give salary to, the schools that we're trying to protect. These are all taxpayers. So it's not just a group on one side that is different from everybody else. So that
Please,
notion,
no clapping.
we should remove that notion. But again, I think for all those people that are talking about increased taxes, please do know that I'm a taxpayer. My property value went up. My tax is going to increase. And so we are all impacted. But it was important for all of us to look at what is best for our constituents as a whole. It is important for all of us to look at when we pave roads, when we have, I would not want to pay $15 and then not have firefighters be able to come to my house when I need it. As a mother, I would not want to get $15 less in my property taxes and then my school is underfunded. It's not even worth it. And so I think people should understand that what we had to do was tough, what the chair has to do was tough. But at the end of the day, we're looking at all of it globally, all of us, what is best for our city. And so, again, we should not victimize or make everybody look bad just to make a point. I think it's not fair when we stand up and vilify each other for political aspiration for whatever reason it is. I think it's not correct. We are all working hard and we're all trying to do the best that we can. These are very tough decisions. I've always said since I was elected that every decision that I make is going to be about by the people that elected me, and I'm going to make a decision so I can be able to sleep at night. You do not know how many times this woman call or text and just not talk about the budget, but the things that she has to talk about personally that she carries. And so this is what we all do, and this is the job that we have. And so with that, I'm standing in support. I'm standing with gratitude and saying thank you for making the tough decision. Thanks for not cowering. Thanks for not just trying to be politically correct and doing what leader does. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Councilmember Spain. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise neither in opposition or support of the budget before us because this vote is too important and we all have to make our own decisions. But I feel the need to explain mine.
Mr. Spain,
Yes,
you are so tall, sir. If you would bring your microphone a little bit closer.
See, the problem is when I pull it all the way, I pull it out of the desk. So it's a balancing act. But I'll try.
Like the tall guy caucus needs like a cord extension or something.
Yeah,
so,
please.
yeah.
I appreciate the work of the mayor and the finance department in crafting the administration's budget proposal, as well as that of the chair of the budget committee in formulating her substitute. We've already heard several times that this budget will be funded by a 26% increase in the combined rate. But for the folks in the GSD that I and many of you represent, that rate is actually a little over 39%. And that's before you take into account the increase in appraised property values, which in my district rose by a median of 52%. At that rate, this becomes a tax increase of 45%. I was reminded this morning that the 2020 tax increase was the largest in Metro's history at 34%, but that one was only 37% in the GSD. So that means that this is the largest tax increase in Metro history for people living in the GSD, combined with a record high increase in property values. Like many of you, I've looked for ways to reduce that burden, and I think I have the bruises on my head from banging it against the wall to prove it. I won't repeat myself about the flaws in the USD-GSD study or why it shouldn't be implemented in this budget, but we're told that not doing so would risk a lawsuit. Maybe it would, but I find it difficult to believe that we could be successfully sued for not implementing a study we received 1 week before the budget was filed. We adopted a fund balance reserve policy that created sustainability reserve accounts and set a minimum target of 1% of operating expenditures. But now we're told that funding them at anything less than 2% could jeopardize our credit rating and waste millions of dollars. I also looked at ways to reduce spending in the mayor's proposal, not to make cuts to anyone's budget, but to slow the rate of growth in the budget from 15% over the current year. As we saw yesterday in the budget committee, our departments were quick to line up to discuss the calamitous impacts of any such reductions. And the truth is that there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with the ways this budget spends the money. No one is against investments in services, schools, and safety if we had the money to spend, but we don't. So we're asking taxpayers to cover the difference, and that requires a higher level of scrutiny. I received an email from a constituent last night, the most recent of dozens on this topic, from a recent retiree on a fixed income who said his taxes will go up by 58%, over $1,500 under this proposal. He wanted to know if he was supposed to take out a home equity loan to pay them. I am frustrated, as I know many of you are, that we have not been able to find ways to mitigate the impact to household budgets and still provide the essential services on which people rely in the limited time available to us to do this task. But a tax increase of this magnitude for my constituents is simply too much to ask. And that's why I'll be voting no on this budget and on the tax levy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spain. Next in the queue is Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, Councilmember Toombs. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I stand obviously in support of the substitute as amended. We've had a lot of discussion about the level of spending in this proposed budget and whether or not that's appropriate and whether or not the tax rate is appropriate. I don't think this body is afraid of saving money or cutting where necessary. We did that last fiscal year with the targeted savings. However, in that circumstance, the finance department worked with departments to determine what that looked like for the department so that there was not a reduction in service. I don't think that the department showing up last night at Budget and Finance telling us the real life consequences of at the 11th hour cutting their budgets, that's going to be a reduction in service. I don't think that's fear mongering. That's just telling the truth. I think that efficiency is a good thing, and that doesn't go away once this budget cycle ends. We're always looking at ways to be as efficient as possible. We're constantly being told that our services have to keep up with the growth of the city, but when we try to make the investments so that services keep up with the growth of the city, there's also criticism. So it doesn't make sense. It's which way do you want us to go? I echo Councilwoman Suarez's statements. During public hearing, we had the chamber was full of taxpayers. And what we heard, as Councilwoman Allen told us earlier, is that people talked about employee pay, youth safety, and housing. All of that costs money. To make sure that we have fully funded schools, that our kids have what they need, it costs money. I understand the burden on the taxpayer. We are all taxpayers. I have a family. I have young children. I have a father who's on a fixed income. I understand the burden to taxpayers. Property taxes are 57% of our revenue as a city. That is the truth for every locality. Property taxes are our main source of revenue. Every year, just as the cost of living goes up, the cost of governing also goes up. And we have to adjust our revenues as appropriate. We even had a working group because we thought that looking at departments who had significant salary savings, that we would find something there, some way to save, millions of dollars, and there was nothing there. what we found out is that departments are robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we have to invest in our city. I understand the burden. There are those of us in the body who've worked on property tax release, who've worked on ways to lessen the burden of property taxes on residents. But that is our main source of revenue, and we have to invest in our city. And I ask my colleagues to support the substitute as amended.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next in the queue is Councilmember Ewing. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. To echo some of my colleagues, this has been a really, really hard season to look at the budget. I am grateful for Chair Porterfield's and the entire council's work on this. It has been no easy task. And like CM Spain, and CM Toombs, and probably most of you, I have been working with residents in my district on a fixed income to find resources through the Metropolitan trustee and other avenues. And so it has been tough. But despite all that, I still rise in support of Chair Porterfield's substitute budget. I've been working to grapple with the budget. There were things that were left out that I really felt needed to be added. And so we've been working on that. But the basic fact is that at the local level, we've seen so much growth in this city that I've called home for over 2 decades. But the frustration has been that many have said there's not a commensurate growth in infrastructure and services. So many in Nashville have been complaining about that. But CM Toombs pointed out last night that the minute we start addressing that, then we're accused of not being good stewards of tax dollars. The basic fact, though, is that we have become a major metropolitan area. We're no longer the slightly quieter, sleepier Nashville many grew up in or moved 2 decades ago. So that brings us to the present in this budget and thinking about what kind of society we want. I know what kind of society I want. I want a city that provides safety services to accommodate a growing population. I want a city that keeps our youth engaged in ways that build their confidence and fold them into society, keeping them away from the daily onslaught of negative influences and violence. I want a city that provides ample funding for a school system that supports 90,000 students, including my son, who's in the exceptional education program. I feel we must resist the urge to create so-called efficiencies at the expense of what is right. We need to fund our schools, particularly in a time when we already have a defunding effort in place, the voucher program passed into law by the state. Sometimes this job requires that we make decisions that are really hard. This is one of those times. I know how some of my constituents want me to vote, but after consideration, I feel I know the vote that is needed in order to do the right thing for the city as a whole, and that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you, Ms. Ewing. Next, Councilman Appointee. Go ahead, Chair, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. First and foremost, I want to associate myself with the comments of my colleague, Dr. Ewing, that this has been an incredibly tough budget cycle to look at. But what I really want to say is I appreciate the collaborative effort in which we have all approached this budget season and trying to find those targeted savings and trying to make sure that we are alleviating the burden to our taxpayers. And we all have worked on this for months, and Chair Porterfield has been leading those working groups for weeks for us to be able to get there. And I'm so immensely grateful for the leadership of Chair Porterfield. But not only that, I am thankful for every single person who has shown up week after week to tell us what we need to do with this budget, because budgets are moral documents. And so to every single taxpayer who has showed up and told us what we need to do for our city, I say thank you. And I just want to add very briefly, Madam Vice Mayor, and echoing what Vice Chair Toombs said, is that having people come and tell us what the consequences of our choices are going to be is not fear-mongering, it's reality. And the same voices that are saying that was fear-mongering are the same voices who told us that our concerns about surveillance were fear-mongering as well. And then our worst nightmares came true here in Nashville. And what we have seen is that federal agencies have had access two locally administered surveillance programs across the nation. So it's not fear mongering, it's having foresight. And so I'm immensely grateful for every single person who has worked on this, who has really spent countless hours trying to figure out how we can administer this budget. And I rise in support of this budget, and I urge all of my colleagues to vote in favor of it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Next is Councilmember Eastlick. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you very much. I've been through some of this, and I've watched from the beginning, and it really feels like this cake was baked before it actually got here. We got 20,000 here, 80,000 there, a little bit there, little sprinkles on the top, or maybe flavoring the icing a little bit, but this thing was fully baked when we got it. And I think some of the biggest evidence is in the USD, GSD tax rate, and the way that was all handled. The consulting firm put the proposal forward, but then we find out it's already in the budget when we're able to talk about it. And then when we talk about it and say we don't really believe the evidence that proposed this is legitimate or goes far enough, we're told you may end up being sued if you don't put it in there. So I believe this has been all the way circled by the administration, by the department heads, and everyone else. And even in the wish list, if you don't talk to the department head, you're probably going to get ganged up on when you try to make some changes. So the USD is one thing. We also heard where targeted savings, this keeps coming up, and it came up last year, and we had some targeted savings from last year, but it was put back in this budget. We could have found some savings somewhere. Not only did we not find savings, we added savings that we had prior put in, put it back. So these are several things that make this where I can't say the taxpayer has been heard when they're the ones saying we need to cut back, we need to spend less, or we need to try to not have a tax increase. We talked about the number of people that came to the public hearing and came and spoke about what they wanted, but we seem to have ignored all the emails of everybody that said, I want no tax increase or I want some savings. I can't find anywhere, anytime we had a serious run at any savings in this. So with all that said, and I appreciate all the work that everybody's put in. I know there's a lot going into this. But for the taxpayer out there that says, I don't want another tax increase, I can't afford this tax increase, this knows for you.
Thank you, Mr. Eastlick. Next in the queue is Councilmember Stiles. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. This is my 6th year with a budget process, and this year has been by far my worst experience. We have 3 different budgets. I don't really like or love any of them, but I know that I'm going to vote in support of Chair Porterfield's version. I would love to have been able to have given our Metro employees that give their best and their all every single day with darn near nothing, oftentimes, the 3% that they asked for. While I do appreciate that we were able to get it to 2%, we gave money to some programs. We don't have any evidence that they can do what they claim they can do, and then other programs and departments are doing the work and couldn't get additional funding. And certainly doing amendments is a great thing, and I appreciate my colleagues for fighting for those things that needed to have been in the substitute from the beginning, and I'm glad that we got those amendments on the substitute. Next year, this process has to be better. Next year, we can't get budget wish lists the day before the deadline that we were originally told and then be told that we've been given an extension when it's a holiday weekend. We can't call directors, and the new form is requiring us to talk to directors. Budget allocation, some of the funding sources weren't even listed. It was bedlam. Getting a USD, GSD report, I mean, we didn't have time to digest. We really didn't. And we want to pat ourselves on the back and say, yay and great. This is a hard budget because we don't have a lot of money, period. We really don't. But how we broke it down, how things were given to us, feels very shady. I don't like it. As most people know, I don't like shady stuff. So I hope we do better if I can continue, because I have 35 seconds left. So please, for next year, no more moving the goalpost with unanswered questions, no new tools or last-minute reports. And this tax rate is staggeringly painful. But when a penny equals 7 million, I know it's hard. The tax rate is difficult. But we definitely need to do better. We need to do better internally. We need to do better for these people that are in the gallery right now. So, thank you. And I'll vote for Chair Porterfield's substitute, but by God, next year, let's do better.
All right, next in the queue is Councilmember Benedict. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So colleagues, a no vote on this substitute is a yes vote for the mayor's budget. Those are the choices we're now left with after all of us have had opportunities to substitute or amend it. So for my colleagues who don't want to vote for a tax increase, that's not an option that you're left with right now. Your no vote on the substitute means that you don't approve of the changes this body has made. Your no vote on the substitute means that our constituents' voices directly to us aren't being addressed. Your opportunity to not pass a tax increase has passed. Now you must decide if you want to pass a budget based on all of the needs we've directly heard here in this chamber, or if you want to pass the mayor's budget. Either way, your no vote is not cover for reducing taxes.
Okay, next in the queue, Ms. Johnston, you're recognized.
Previous question.
Okay. Ms. Johnston has called the previous question. Is there a second? Okay. This is a non-debatable motion. It requires 2/3 of those voting. If you want to call the previous question, that means we will end debate and move directly to the vote, okay? So if you are in the favor of the motion to call the question, you want to end debate. If you want to continue debate, you would vote no on calling the previous question, okay? When I do a vote by voice, I always ask you all just to give a standard modulated voice. Don't try to make your voice be higher or louder. It's about the quantity, okay? So we will move to the vote. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye. All against the previous question? Okay. The motion to call the question prevails, and so we will move to the vote. So the vote that is before us, just to restate it, is the motion to approve the operating budget ordinance as substituted with Chair Porterfield's substitute and as amended with amendments 1, 2, 8, and late file 1 and 2. Okay? This vote or for passage requires 21 votes. Our rules also require a roll call. Okay? And so with that, Mr. Clerk, would you please open the machine for the vote on the operational budget ordinance 833 as substituted and amended? Ms. Kimbrough, are you seeking to vote? Okay, please go ahead and vote. You're the last person who needs to vote. Ms. Kimbrough, please go ahead and vote, ma'am.
Point of order.
Yes, Ms. Benedict,
Thank you.
point of order.
Thank you. Is it possible for someone to just be present and not voting?
Special Counsel Darby? Okay. All right, the vote is in. Thank you for your question. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. All right. Council has adopted the substitute budget as amended with 32 votes in favor, 6 votes no, and 2 abstentions. All right. Next, we're not done yet. Hello, Mayor. So next, colleagues, this budget doesn't work without the associated tax levy, okay? So next is agenda item 60. This is ordinance BL 2025-834, sponsor Porterfield. This is an ordinance establishing the tax levy in the General Services District for the fiscal year 2025-2026 and declaring the amount required for the annual operating budget of the Urban Services District pursuant to Section 6.07 of the Metropolitan Charter. Chair Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted for BL 2025-834 with 6 in favor, 1 against, and 2 not voting.
Okay.
Move for approval.
All right. Is there a second? Okay. There's a motion to approve, properly seconded, for the tax levy ordinance. Is there any discussion? Please don't leave the room, colleagues, because I understand, but it looks like we may, okay. So motion to approve and properly seconded. We're on to discussion on the tax levy. Okay. Mr. Eastlick, you have a little time, Ms. Lee, if you, yes, ma'am, sorry. I didn't know if we were going to move straight to the vote, and it does require a roll call again in 21 votes. So go ahead, please, sir. Mr. Eastlick, you're recognized.
Thank you. If you read the report about the Raftillis formula for the GSD USD, this is not very good for anybody outside the USD. As somebody that has a full GSD district, I certainly understand that this is going to hurt my district more than it's going to hurt many. 72% of the population is inside the USD. For the 28% of us that are outside, what happened is Raftillis basically went and talked to Metro employees, and they observed some policy level decisions. And with that, no other data, no other formulas, they decided that the services delivered are essentially the same between the USD and the people outside the USD. If you live in the GSD, you understand we don't have nearly as much of the amenities as they do in the USD. This, when I asked if we could take this out, study it, and then maybe put it in next year, was told that that wasn't possible. Not only would it open up litigation, but it was also going to cost us money based on the way we had already baked it into this cake. So what I'm asking at this point, and everybody's going to vote on it, but we need to look at this going forward. This was not based on usage or amount of services rendered. It was based on the number of services available only. So for us outside the USD that don't get all the parks as they do, don't have all the other amenities, and certainly don't have as many service calls as they do in the USD, we're getting the short end of the stick here. I don't believe there's anything that I can do that'll make anybody not vote for it or make it not pass. So it's a little late. In the future, we need, just like with the way this budget went down, we need to look at the way this formula is put together and see if we can't make this more equitable for everybody and work out a little easier than just saying, we talked to a couple of people, we looked at a couple of things, and all of a sudden we believe everything's equal. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Eastlick. Next is Councilmember Johnston. You're recognized.
Previous question.
Okay. Ms. Johnston has called the previous question. Is there a second? Okay. This is a non-debatable motion. If you are in favor of calling the question, that means you want to end debate and move to the vote. If you vote against the previous question, that means you want debate to continue. All in favor of the motion to call the previous question, please say aye. Any voting no on the previous question? Okay. The motion to call the question prevails, and so we will move to the vote. The tax levy also requires 21 votes, and by rule also requires a roll call. So, Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote, and council members, if you would please vote promptly. Thank you. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the tax levy ordinance has passed its third and final reading with 29 votes in favor, 9 against, and 2 abstentions. Okay, so council has adopted the tax levy. All right, the next item that we pulled forward, because they are all companions to each other, is agenda item 61. This is ordinance BL 2025-838, sponsors Porterfield, Hill, and Vo. This is an ordinance creating the positions of Assistant Grants and Accountability Officer. Okay, so this is a list of the new positions created within this budget. Fire Deputy Director Chief, Grants and Accountability Officer, Investments Portfolio Manager, Short-Term Rental Inspector 1, Traffic Management Center Manager, Traffic Management Center Operator, Traffic Management Center Operator 2, Traffic Management Center Supervisor, Urban Forestry Chief, Urban Forestry Inspector 1, Waste Services Superintendent, Water Field Technician Supervisor, Zoning Inspection Chief, Zoning Inspector 1, Zoning Inspector 2. All right. Ms. Porterfield, Chair, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted for, that's 838.
I believe all committee reports are already
Move for approval.
in. Is that correct, Special Counsel? Okay. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on ordinance 838, creating these new positions within the budget? Okay. Seeing none, again, this requires 21, but not a roll call, so we can take it by voice. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no? Any abstaining? All right. This ordinance has also passed its third and final reading. Okay, colleagues. So at this point, those were our 3 budget items that we pulled forward in the agenda. Where we were was we had done the consent agenda. So now we are going back to resolutions that were not on consent and proceeding through the agenda in its regular order. Okay? So with that, we go back to resolutions. First among them that was not on consent is agenda item 5. This is RS 2025-1258, sponsors Porterfield and Hill. This is a resolution adopting a new pay plan for the general employees of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, excluding employees of the Board of Health, the Board of Education, and the Police and Fire Departments effective July 1, 2025. What I'm going to do to the committee chairs, if you'll listen to me, Chair Hill, Chair Evans, and Chair Porterfield, please listen up, okay? We have 3 pay plans, 3 of which have reports from all 3 of you, 2 of which have reports from Chair Evans. Okay, so we have to take these individually for votes, but for purposes of the committee report, what I'm going to ask you, please, chairs, for Ms. Hill and Ms. Porterfield to also please provide your report regarding agenda item 6, which is Resolution 2025-259. That's a resolution adopting a new pay plan for employees of the Metropolitan Departments of Police and Fire effective July 1, 2025. That also, Ms. Evans, is a report from you. And then lastly, agenda item 7, RS 2025-1260, Porterfield, Evans, and Hill, which is a resolution adopting a new pay plan for employees of the Metropolitan Board of Health effective July 1, 2025. Again, we will have to take these individually, but for purposes of committee reports, first, Chair Porterfield, if you would please provide a committee report on all 3 pay plan resolutions. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance consider RS 2025-1258, 1259, and 1260, and voted 9 in favor, 0 against, and 1 not voting for 1258. And that was on the Amendment 1 was 9 in favor, 0 against, 1 not voting. As amended with Amendment 1, it was 9 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. Amendment 2 was withdrawn. On 1259, Amendment 1 was voted in favor, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Amendment 2 was withdrawn, and it was voted approved with Amendment 1, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And on 1260, it was approved with Amendment 1, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Amendment 2 was withdrawn and approved with Amendment 1. It was 9 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting.
Okay. Chair Hill for the report of the Government Operations and Regulations Committee. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor. On RS 2025-1258, we voted for approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, as amended with Amendment 1. Amendment 1 was 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Amendment 2 was 0 in favor, 7 against, and 0 not voting.
Okay.
Did I do that right?
That's fine. If you could please share with me also your report on 1259 and 1260. Okay?
1259 on Amendment 1 was 7 in favor, 0 against, and Amendment 2 was 0 in favor, 7 against. And so we approved it as recommended approval as amended with Amendment 1, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, and then lastly, for your consolidated committee report, agenda item 7, resolution 1260, please, ma'am.
1260 was, we voted for approval as amended with Amendment 1. Amendment 1 was 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Amendment 2 was 0 in favor, 7 against, 0 not voting. So we voted for approval, 7 in favor, as amended, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you, Chair Hill. Chair Evans, for Public Health and Safety, you're recognized on resolutions 1259 and 1260, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We actually had this on our agenda last meeting, and I don't have that record here.
Okay.
So we didn't cover it in today's meeting agenda.
All right. Special Counsel Darby, can you speak to that? Okay. Clerk's office, can you share with us? We have our committee reports in on that item. Okay, we've got them recorded as approved on those amendments, 1 for both as amended. Okay, so that's a consolidated committee report for 5, 6, 7 on our agenda. Now we're going to have to go back to each individually, but hopefully we saved some time by not having to go to all 3 people on all 3 things. We'll see. Okay. Chair Porterfield, for a motion. Thank you. Okay, properly moved and seconded. And would you like to?
Move the substitute, move the amendment.
Okay. So we're on the motion to amend Resolution 1258 with Amendment 1. Is there any discussion on that amendment? No? Okay? All in favor of Amendment 1, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay? So the amendment's on there, but we got to
Move as amended.
Okay. Motion to approve as amended. Ms. Swar, are you seeking to be recognized now? Okay, we're on to discussion of 1258, Agenda Item 5. This is a new pay plan as in the caption, as amended. Ms. Swar, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I'll make it very short. My comments relates to all three pay plan. I know we had a discussion the last meeting, and there were so many things thrown around. But I think that some of the things that were discussed on the pay plan and the issues that were raised with regards to the pay plan, one of them is the fact that the across the board was less, which is what the amendment that we just passed just resolved. The other thing that I was discussing is possibility of making step to be 3% instead of the 2% that is in the plan, and that is not feasible. That's not possible. We cannot do that as a body because if we do that, then we're not doing a uniform adjustment. And then the last thing that was discussed was the fact that we were using ECI instead of CPI. And the information, I'm sharing all of this because so many has gone in. I've asked so many questions back and forth with Director Derby and HR. Just wanted to put that all out there, is that currently ECI is better than CPI, but in any year that CPI happened to be better, we as a body, just like we did with the substitute, had the opportunity to always increase that across the board. And so with what we have right now, that increased market rate for everybody, with us not being able to change step and the fact that we can always correct it and future council can always do what it thinks is best, this is a very good plan. And so I rise in support, and I thank the chair for at least listening on the across the board race, which was the most critical thing that the employees were asking for. And by making that substitute, we've been able to fulfill that wish of our employees. So with that, again, I rise in support of all the plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swara. Is there any further discussion on resolution, the pay plan resolution 1258? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. You have adopted this resolution. Next, agenda item 6, resolution 2025-1259, sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and Hill. We already have our committee reports in. Sponsor Porterfield.
Move for approval.
Properly moved and seconded?
Move the amendment.
Okay, properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend?
Move Amendment 1, my
Oh,
apologies.
yeah, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend with Amendment 1? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, Ms. Porterfield, for a motion to approve is amended.
Move for approval as amended.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, so you have adopted Resolution 1259, which is a new pay plan for employees of the Metropolitan Departments of Police and Fire. Now, our third and final pay plan resolution, RS 2025-1260, sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and Hill. This is a resolution adopting a new pay plan for the employees of the Metro Board of Health. Chair Porterfield, you're recognized.
Move for approval.
Okay. Doing so with the committee reports already in previously. It's properly before us. Motion to amend.
Move for approval of Amendment 1.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend with Amendment 1 for this pay plan resolution? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. The amendment's on. So
Move for approval as amended.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, so you have adopted this resolution, 1260, for the third and final pay plan resolution for employees of the Board of Health. Okay, all right. Next is agenda item 13, RS 2025-1301, sponsors Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Ellis. This is a resolution accepting and appropriating a donation from the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee in the amount of $13,104.10 to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metro Human Relations Commission, and authorizing the Metro Human Relations Commission to expend the donated funds to further its duties, responsibilities, and mission. Chair Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted on RS 2025-1301, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
And Chair Evans for the report of Public Health and Safety regarding Resolution 1301.
We recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention.
Move for approval.
All right, there is a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Wait, are you abstaining, Mr. Benton? Okay, that's fine. So this resolution has been adopted. And we are moving on with our agenda. Next is agenda item 21, resolution 2025-1309. Sponsors Porterfield, Welsh, Swara, Allen, Ellis, and Gadd. This is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to grant contracts with 3 nonprofit organizations for the provision of free and high-quality out-of-school programs through the Nashville After Zone Alliance, also known as NAZA. Okay, Chair Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, Chair Gadd for the report of the Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment Committee, Chair.
The committee approved, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Move for approval.
All right, there is a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded, and now we are on to discussion on this resolution. Anyone seeking a discussion on this resolution that was pulled from consent? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay, Mr. Benton, you'll be recorded as an abstention. All right, you have adopted this resolution. Okay. So that concludes all our regular resolutions. Next on our agenda is Section K. These are late filed resolutions, okay? K1, K2, K3, K4. Without objection, Chair Porterfield, on late items K1, K2, K3, K4, as they were all filed by the administration and you are lead sponsor, I'm going to invite you to move to suspend the rules on all 4 of these items at once, Chair Prep T, so that we can get a consolidated committee report from Chair Prep T, after which we will take up the items separately for approval, motions, discussions, and votes, okay? So if you would please, Chair, as required, move to suspend the rules and mention these 4 items, please, before I go to Chair Prep T.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to suspend the rules on the 4 late filed items.
Okay, K1, K2, K3, K4, which everybody can see in their agenda. Chair Prep T, you're recognized on the nature of the late file, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. If I could have a brief indulgence to get my paperwork in order.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my bad. Okay.
These are all those late files numbered
Oh, yeah. I'll just.
K1, K2, K3, K4.
Okay, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. With regards to K1, the committee voted to suspend the rules, 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. With regards to K2, we voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to suspend the rules. With regards to K3 and K4, we voted to suspend the rules, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Having heard the report of Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Chair Prep T on the nature of the late file, ZA, plural, is there any objection to a suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules are suspended for purposes of taking up these late filed resolutions, and then we will now move through them in agenda order. First, Resolution K1 is a resolution to approve a first amendment to 3 grant contracts for constructing affordable housing between the Metro government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metro Housing Trust Fund Commission and certain nonprofit organizations. Sponsor Porterfield. Ms. Porterfield, you're recognized for for your committee reports, please.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Chair Gamble.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning recommended approval of K1, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Move for approval.
Okay. All right, Special Counsel Darby, just to confirm, the rules, confirmations, public elections, that was solely for purposes of suspension of the rules. Understood. Okay, we've disposed of those. So we've moved approval. It's properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Mr. Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for those of us who were not in any of these committees, can the administration explain why these were late filed?
Okay, I will allow that. Who from the administration would like to speak to the reason around the late file for this particular item? K1. Will that be Ms. Wiggins? Okay, Ms. Wiggins from the Department of Finance. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. If you will indulge me and tell me which one is K1, because
I apologize. It is a resolution on the First Amendment to 3 grant contracts regarding the Housing Trust Fund Commission.
So not to describe the resolution itself, but they are extensions of contracts, and they don't want the contracts to expire before the next meeting, so they want to make sure that they were on this agenda. Just needed to get all the paperwork taken care of.
Okay. I'll allow that a little bit for Mr. Bradford, so you don't have to ask this question on every single item. But can you speak more generally just to these late files in this section? I presume that's sort of a general applicability as far as what you've just shared on the first one?
They are, and I know that there are 2 related to NAZA.
Correct.
And those are the same. Keep in mind, that's a summer program, and it's really a challenge because it crosses our fiscal year. So you have some that are amendments adding funds to the contracts, and they don't want to break in the service. So they wanted to make sure that they were approved now. It allows those nonprofit partners running the programs to know that they have their funding in place as we go into the new July 1st year. The second set of NAZA are the new contracts that start July 1st. Same reasoning. They need to make sure that those nonprofits have as much notice as possible that those programs are going to continue with funding. And I don't know what the fourth late file was. Was it the Shelby?
It was regarding a mural.
Yeah, the Shelby Park mural.
Yep. Okay. In the essence of time, I was going to allow that, though that is really to other items. Does that address your concern, Mr. Bradford?
Yes, and it concerns me that this is something that was known for a while, that we know that this happens every year, yet they couldn't get this to us in a timely fashion. And so for those reasons, I'm going to be voting no on all 4 of these, because I think it's a lack of planning on their part does not constitute emergency on my part. Sorry.
Mr. Bradford, are you aware that by voting no on these resolutions, we will have to take them by roll call individually? Yes, ma'am, or sir, rather. Okay. All right, so we are still on a discussion regarding K1, which is regarding the Housing Trust Fund Commission. Next in the queue for discussion is Ms. Allen. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Very quickly, I just want to point out that this is the $3 million that fell in our lap that now allocates further $3 million to the Barnes Fund. So I'm very supportive of this.
Okay, great. Is there any further discussion on Resolution K1 regarding the Housing Trust Fund Commission and the motion to approve? Okay, seeing none and knowing that we have a no vote, do we have to roll call it? Okay. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote. ITS, Chair Evans needs some assistance, and Mr. Cortez as well. Oh, thank you, Chair Evans. Yeah, I saw that. That's weird. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, this resolution has passed with 33 votes in favor, 1 vote against, and 0 abstentions. Next is agenda item K2, sponsors Porterfield and Gadd. This is a resolution accepting an in-kind grant from the sister cities of Nashville to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation, to fund a commissioned art mural on the exterior side wall of the Morgan Park Community Center, including future maintenance costs. Chair Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted in favor, nine in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, Chair of Arts, Parks, and Libraries and Entertainment, Ms. Gadd, you're recognized.
Our committee voted in support, 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 not voting.
Move for approval.
Okay, there is a motion to approve. It is properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Mr. Bradford, do you still intend to vote no on this one? Okay. Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote. Okay, back to Rose. Have you all voted? Ms. Lee, Ms. Union, Ms. Okay. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, this resolution has passed with 34 votes in favor, 1 vote no, and 0 abstentions. Next is agenda item K3, sponsors Porterfield and Gadd. This is a resolution appropriating a total of $1,526,540 from the Nashville Public Library to various nonprofit organizations for the provision of free and high-quality after-school and summer programming through the library's Nashville After Zone Alliance after-school and out-of-school time coordinating system. Chair Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Chair Gadd, you're recognized.
Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Move for approval.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote, recognizing that there is a no vote and it is a resolution and our rules require a roll call. Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote. Members, please vote promptly. Did not write. You should write it down. I don't know why I didn't. Ms. Hill, are you seeking to vote on this matter? That's okay. All votes in, Mr. Clerk. Please show the vote. All right, this resolution has passed with 34 votes in favor and 1 against and 1 abstention. Okay, and I'm losing track. Are we on K4? Thanks. Okay. Agenda item K4, sponsors Porterfield and Gadd. This is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to grant contracts with various nonprofit organizations for the provision of free and high-quality out-of-school programs through the Nashville After Zone Alliance. Chair Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, Budget and Finance voted 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Chair Gadd.
Arts, Parks, Library, and Entertainment voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Move for approval.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Properly moved, properly second. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, knowing that there's a no vote, we must take a roll call. Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote, and members, if you would please vote promptly. Thank you. Ms. Hancock, are you seeking to vote? That's okay. With all votes in, Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, this motion or this resolution has passed. 35 votes in favor, 1 vote against, and 0 abstentions. Okay, that concludes our agenda section on late filed items. Now we are moving into agenda item, or rather section L, bills on introduction and first reading. Without objection, all items on first reading may be voted on at the same time. Do any items need to be pulled from first reading consideration? Okay, last call. All right. Is there a motion for approval of all items on first consideration? Properly moved and seconded without objection. You have approved all items on first reading. Okay? Now we are on to bills on second reading that were not on consent. First among those is agenda item 43, ordinance BL 2025-846, sponsors Coupin, Johnston, Webb, Hancock, Nash, Huffman, and Stiles. This is an ordinance amending Title II of the Metro Code of Laws, authorizing the creation of a downtown central business improvement district. And appointing a corporation to act as an advisory board to the district with the necessary powers and authority to carry out the purposes and intent of the district. Mr. Coupin, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Committee reports, please.
Okay, Chair Porterfield for the report of Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted for a 1 meeting deferral, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay.
I believe it's deferred by rule.
Yeah, by rule, 8.1, sponsor Coupin, that is a 1 meeting deferral. So this ordinance will be on its second reading at the first meeting in July. A reminder to colleagues and the community that this bill will have a public hearing at the second meeting in July. Okay, that's July 15th. Second reading at the meeting of July 1st. Okay. All right. That moves us right on through second reading. We're done there. And now we're on to third reading. Okay, we have 2 final items on third. Sponsor Toombs. These are companion bills to each other, but Ms. Toombs, for purposes of amendment, we will have to take up the first one separately, after which you can do a consolidated motion for approval on both, okay? So agenda item 57 is ordinance BL 2025-809, sponsor Toombs. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from IWD and RS 7.5 to SP zoning for various properties along Dickerson Pike, Lemuel Road, Jones Street, and Locust Street, approximately 343 feet south of Kenneth Drive. This is 106.9 acres to permit a mixed-use development. Again, I will go ahead and read it into the record for purposes of Ms. Toombs' subsequent motion. Also, agenda item 58 is its companion. This is ordinance BL 2025-810. And this ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings that are in ordinance 809. Okay, regarding 809, Ms. Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval.
Okay, it's properly before us. Go ahead.
All right, I have an amendment. I'd like to move the amendment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, go ahead. Would you like to give a brief explanation of that amendment?
Sure. You heard from the steel mill during public comment. The steel mill is a rehearsal place where various acts can go and have like full-blown stage lighting, production, all of that in preparation for shows and folks who are going out on tour. And they have been in this location for about 10 years. And so now there's going to be a residential development. So that raised some concerns on their part. They've been working with the development team, which includes Ryan Holmes. And so this amendment, and thank you to Matthew for helping me with it, creates some buffer language to help mitigate any excessive noise coming from the steel mill. And both parties are agreeable to the amendment.
All right, you've heard an explanation of the amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, now I'm going to you for a motion to approve 809 as amended and approve its companion, also 810.
I move to approve 809 as amended, as well as approve its companion 810.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion, consolidated motion to approve agenda item 57 and its companion 58? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted those bills on third and final reading. That concludes this evening's agenda. Thank you again to everyone for their work on the annual budget, and best wishes, and thank you again to Hannah Zeitlin. This Thursday is the Juneteenth holiday, and the Metro Council office will be closed. Our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, July 1. Is there a motion to adjourn? All right, we are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.